last night. Game 2 of that series coming your way right now from San Diego. The guys that call on the game, Matt Vasgersian and Eric Karros. Take it away, fellas.
Well, Kevin, America's finest city earning its nickname once again on a gorgeous San Diego afternoon as fans, local fans, celebrate the holiday weekend. Home fans hoping the Padres can extend a 5-game winning streak, and the folks that have traveled south wearing orange and black hoping their Giants can turn things around. Fans and players alike ready to switch from holiday smiles to game time as Fox Baseball Night in America presents the San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Padres. And welcome to San Diego. Happy holiday weekend to you with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian. The San Francisco Giants just a few weeks ago had a 9.5-game lead in the NL West, but my, how things have changed since then. Not only have the Dodgers gotten hot, EK, the Giants' bats have gone south, so that puts a little more pressure on an already formidable pitching staff. And today, to try to snap a 3-game slide, they'll turn to Tim Hudson.
Well, the veteran right-hander gets the ball. In his last outing, he threw 8 innings against the Cincinnati Reds, only gave up 2 earned runs. And if you look, among active major league pitchers, he's got the most wins, 212. He is 6th in the National League in ERA, and there's no better guy to get the ball than Tim Hudson for the San Francisco Giants. On the other side, Odrisamer Despaigne, the Cuban right-hander, handles the game today for the San Diego Padres. He's had 2 starts so far in over 13 innings. He's only given up 1 earned run. Why he's fun to watch? He throws from all different angles. He's got the slow curveball. He's sidewinding. He's over the top. It makes me thank goodness that I'm up here and not standing in the batter's box.
A little Cuban flair on this 4th of July holiday weekend in San Diego. Good to have you along with us. An NL West battle is due up next. Lineups in the opening pitch are next. Of all, perhaps talking about how to spoil Odrisamer Despaigne, who makes his 3rd major league start this afternoon, and a guy who's already faced the Giants once. Major league debut came against San Francisco just a week and a half ago. And round 2 against the Gigantes on tap today. Let's get you right to Bruce Bochy's Taco Bell starting lineup. Sometimes you got to live Moss. Hunter Pence will lead off for the 3rd time this year. He's in right field, a 2-time All-Star, trying to set the table for Belt and Posey behind him. Pablo Sandoval, Mike Morrison, Gregor Blanco, Brandon Crawford, Joe Panik, and Tim Hudson round things out for the Giants. And it is the 27-year-old Cuban-born right-hander on the mound to make his 3rd big league assignment today. Hunter Pence ready to start us this afternoon, and we are underway in San Diego. Despaigne has been described by most who have seen him in his brief stay in San Diego colors as an El Duque light, taking into account, of course, the Cuban heritage and the distinctive funky style that he brings with him.
Well, and remember El Duque, when he pitched for the New York Yankees, he had all kinds of delivery slots. And that's difficult for a hitter because usually a pitcher has a consistent arm angle. But Despaigne, he'll throw a number of pitches from different arm angles. Thus, he has more pitches you have to worry about.
Tried to back up Hunter Pence, who was jelly-legging all the way, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, the first 2 assignments have been successes. 2 wins, a .66 ERA, and even Darren Balsley, the veteran pitching coach here in San Diego, you'll see some smiles on his face throughout the afternoon. And he's even talked about how unique it is to have a guy with all these arm angles. He throws what amounts to 12 or 13 different pitches.
Yeah, it's just like you're playing outside in the backyard and you're playing wiffle ball or something and you're creating all different types of windups. That's what's happening out here.
It isn't very often then we get into a game and we go right into the starting pitcher and break him down, but Despaigne is worth doing with.
Well, you see the high leg kick right there. He hides the ball. This is more of an overhand delivery.
Here's his payoff pitch home to Hunter Pence. On the ground to second. A great play by Brooks Conrad. The throw to first, however, brings Geppert off the bag. And it's going to be scored a leadoff single for Hunter Pence.
Well, great play by Conrad to lay out, grab the ball. But Pence, you see, that's a big man, but he's hustling all the way, especially when you're sniffing hit right there. Conrad makes a nice play, but Pence just beats it out.
So the leadoff man aboard, in that infield base hit means Hunter Pence has extended a hitting streak to 10 in a row. And he's aboard now for the number 2 hitter, Brandon Belt. Belt just getting back to active duty, and boy was he missed. Came off the DL prior to yesterday's series opener, missed 50 games with a broken thumb, and the Giants deemed him fit for major league duty after going 13 for 25 in a brief minor league rehab stint, and Bruce Bochy couldn't get him back into the lineup fast enough.
Well, the Giants offense just needs some sort of spark. They haven't been getting a lot of production from the top spot, especially since Angel Pagan's been out. And you don't want to put it all on Brandon Belt's shoulders, but they just need something. They need some energy, and hopefully for San Francisco Giant fans, Brandon Belt is the answer.
Pablo Sandoval waits next. There's one that slips away from Yasmani Grandal, and Pence scoots up into scoring position with nobody out.
This pitch should have been caught, and it wasn't a great pitch, but something that Grandal should have been able to handle.
It is scored as a pass ball, charged to Yasmani Grandal. So a ball and a strike to count to Brandon Belt, with a runner at second to start the afternoon. And Despaigne nibbling misses the corner. In terms of velocity, Bruce Bochy, who watched as Despaigne made his major league debut, said that they weren't quite ready for a guy that could rush it up there at 91, 92. He came a little heavier than advertised in terms of velocity. And I think a lot of people may have been misled, Eric, by the poor minor league numbers that Despaigne put together.
Yeah, he had over a 6 ERA and 2 stops in AA and AAA.
And even at the big league level, you look, he doesn't have a ton of strikeouts. In 2 starts, only 3 strikeouts. He just misses the barrel of the bat.
3 balls and a strike to Brandon Belt. And there's a high strike to make it a full count, 3-2. Saw Buddy Black a moment ago in his 8th year managing these Padres. And going through some lean times in 2014. The injury bug has hit San Diego arguably harder than any other team in baseball. I think the Rangers might give them a run for their money in that category. And there is ball 4. On the other side, Bruce Bochy, the winningest Padre manager in franchise history, just struggling for a combination to heat up what's been a sleepy offense. And maybe today's the day with runners aboard and nobody out for Buster Posey.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better player at the plate right now. Buster Posey just been the anchor of this offense for the last few years. He's been consistent all year.
Posey digs in with all-star worthy numbers at 287, 9 home runs and 41 driven in, though that catcher position in the National League is rich with talent this year. It's going to be interesting to see who actually goes to Minneapolis in a week and a half. A very giant friendly crowd in San Diego, as has been the case for the last number of years here. You'll see a lot of folks wearing orange and black traveling south. And they are represented well as visiting fans here this afternoon once again. 0-1 the count to Buster Posey. A hanger line to shortstop. Amarista to Conrad, and they doubled off Pence.
Well, Posey hits this thing hard, but right to the shortstop. Pence caught off with second base. Not anything he could really do right there. See, Pence, when he recognizes the line drive, he hustles back, but again, Posey hit that ball so hard. And this is just kind of those things when you're struggling as a team, you're going, geez, not again. And that's what the Giants find themselves in already in this first.
So that takes the bite out of perhaps what would have been a much more threatening situation. Now Pablo Sandoval with 2 out and 1 away. The switch hitting Panda in a bit of a funk, as a number of his teammates are. He starts play this afternoon 0 for his last 12. Batting average down to 261. And when you consider the very slow start Sandoval got off to, it would appear that bell curve is back to the bottom. He swings and fouls that pitch away.
That's interesting because that ball hit him in the forearm, and you can see right there.
The elbow.
Yeah, it looked like it, the left forearm. Left elbow. And because he was offering at the ball, that counts as a strike. Now, if he's trying to move out of the way, but you can tell that he started his swing, continued it through the zone, and he gets hit. Tough way to get a strike. No, either way right now, whether he's okay to continue the at-bat, he's just not comfortable.
Yeah, that was not the bat. That was Pablo Sandoval's elbow that you heard making contact with the ball.
You know, that's a funny thing, is always whether you hit a ball off your ankle or something of this magnitude, and you're in the batter's box and you're deemed okay to finish the at-bat, you're really not okay. I mean, that elbow right now is just thumping. It's probably feels like it has a heartbeat of itself. Now he's got to go in, and if you're Despaigne, you're Grandal behind the plate, I'm coming right back inside, because I can tell you right now as a hitter, Sandoval wants nothing to do with an inside pitch.
You've really grown into something of a heartless person in your
I'm just telling you where
statehood.
I will be shocked if they don't go back in there. Where they set up. They got to go back in there. That's not me. Grandal is the one that's setting up inside.
Okay, well, it's a move endorsed by Eric Karros here. So we'll see if Grandal sets up inside once again on 0-2. Runner aboard with 2 away. An infield leadoff single, a base on balls, then a double play ball. Grandal wants it on the outside corner. Belt runs, throw down to second is in time to get him. Runners at first and second, nobody out to start the ball game, and the Giants are turned away. A double play and a caught stealing. Bruce Bochy's coming out onto the field to have a quick conversation with the crew chief, Bill Welke, who made that call at second base. The signal was quick. And, of course, Bruce Bochy's waiting for signal from his dugout to see if this will be a challenged play.
You can see right there that shortstop has got the tag up around Belt's neck before he has reached the bag.
No challenge, no runs in the top half of the first. To finish that at bat after being hit by a pitch in the elbow. He will not apparently be able to finish the game as he's been removed in favor of Joaquin Arias. He'll take over at third base before Pablo could even play on the defensive side of the scorecard. So it is with that slight change behind Tim Hudson that the soon-to-be 39-year-old right-hander makes his 17th starting assignment of the year. Seth Smith, Will Venable, and Chase Headley start things for San Diego. We'll get to the rest of their starting lineup in just a moment. Tim Hudson has been everything promised after signing as a free agent in the offseason. The three-time All-Star at 7-5, 2.59 ERA. Coming off a good start last time around against Cincinnati. He has not, however, had good results over his last handful of assignments.
Well, this is his 16th season in the big leagues. Never had a losing year. Today he faces a lineup loaded with left-handers. Bud Black hoping that'll give him a bit of a problem. You know, Bruce Bochy talking about, you know, some of the struggles Tim's had as of late. Just said the sinker's been up. And it's a bottom line. He's usually very pitch efficient.
2-1 to Smith, is swung out and missed. Well, 0-3 with an ERA in the 6s over his last 3 starts, and that big ERA comes despite a good assignment against Cincinnati last time around. Is 2-2 to Smith, misses the corner, 3-2 now.
Well, you can see when they're going against Seth Smith, the Giants, they have that shift. Panic way deep at second base.
3-2 pitch, a little nubber back to Hudson. And the first out is in the books for San Francisco. Let's get to the rest of Bud Black's Padres starting lineup presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. We talked about Smith, Venable, and Headley. Yasmani Grandal, the switch hitting catcher, bats cleanup today. Jake Gobert, the first baseman this afternoon, hits number 5. It'll be Cameron Maben, new Padre, and local guy Brooks Conrad, Alexi Amarista, and Adrisimar Despaigne rounding things out.
Well, not a lot from that offense either as of late, but just enough. I mean, the Padres starting pitching in general, the entire pitching staff has been great as of late.
First pitch home to Will Venables, in for a strike.
So this Padre offense, just not a lot going for it.
En route to what folks hope don't amount to new record lows offensively, as Venable sends a line shot, a sinking liner to center that Blanco circles around and somehow comes up with.
Well, the way this came off the bat, it looks like Blanco read it as something that was just going to come straight at him because it was hit extremely hard, but it had a little tail. Blanco stayed with it, and fortunately it was tailing to his glove side.
2 quick outs in the books for Hudson, and now it's the switch hitting third baseman Chase Headley. There aren't a whole lot of optimistic numbers that the Padres bring for their careers against Tim Hudson. With his many years in the league, Hudson has seen a number of these Padre hitters, including Chase Headley, for a big enough sample size that you would consider somewhat conclusive. And when you run it down, Seth Smith 3 for 17, Venable 4 for 22, Headley 4 for 21. Not a lot of success to speak of.
No, and the one guy that does have success, not playing today, Carlos Quentin. 4 for 9, has a couple of home runs, but getting the day off today.
The 1-2 home to Headley. Bouncing ball to first for Brandon Belt. He'll get it to Hudson in plenty of time. 3 up, 3 down. Starts the afternoon for the 3-time All-Star. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Such a great weekend down here weather-wise, such a convivial feel downtown and around Petco Park, and at whatever beach you have chosen to come back and join us from this afternoon. Welcome back. Scoreless as we start the top half of the second. Despaigne back to work against Joaquin Arias, not Pablo Sandoval, who was at the plate when the caught stealing ended the top of the first, but Arias, who has taken over since for him after Sandoval could not continue once being hit in the elbow by the pitch. Arias at just $1.86. It's a bad trade in terms of offense for Bruce Bochy, but one he was forced to make. 2 balls and no strikes.
But maybe this is something, though, that the Giants can count on today. Guys not playing, gets in the lineup, maybe he'll get a few hits. I mean, right now, as Bruce Bochy told us before the game, he's tried everything. I mean, they've had the batting practice before, the non-batting practice. They've shifted lineups. They've done everything humanly possible to get this ball club going.
2 balls and 2 strikes. They count to Joaquin Arias. You saw Hunter Pence a moment ago. That was considered a pretty dramatic move when Bruce Bochy installed Pence as the leadoff hitter. The absence of Angel Pagan has certainly hurt the Giants. Arias sends a fly ball out to center field for Cameron Maben, and there's one away. You know, we went on the air talking about the one-time and recent 9.5 game lead that the Giants had in the division. It's been the perfect storm in terms of the changing of the guard, because the Giants have gotten cold at the same time the Dodgers have gotten hot, and that explains what you're looking at today. San Francisco a game and a half out.
But if I'm the San Francisco Giants, I'm looking at it as, all right, we squandered that lead, but we're tied in the loss column. Things have gone as bad as possible for us in this stretch, and we're still right there. No, it's not going to continue. This game is a game of resilience.
0-1 the count to Michael Morse. Well, the fact that they lost that lead, and as big a lead as it was so quickly, is what caught the attention of many that watched the division. In fact, the 2014 Giants have set a futility record in going from a lead of 9.5 or more games to out of first place the quickest it's ever been done. It's been the fastest plummet out of the top spot in Major League history. Another good play by Brooks Conrad. And there are 2 away.
Conrad's made 2 fine defensive plays so far. He wasn't able to retire Hunter Pence, but this ball up the middle makes a diving stab at it. He gets up, gathers himself, and because it was hit so hard, he has time. They were shading Morris up the middle. Conrad's looked good early in this game so far.
So 2 quick outs now for the left-handed hitting center fielder and former leadoff man Gregor Blanco. Blanco settling into the second part of the order. Takes a big swing and sends a high deep drive to right. Venable back there at the wall can only look up, and that one is gone.
Well, maybe that's the issue. You can't put him at the top of the lineup. He's a power guy. You got to bury him somewhere deep.
First of the year for Gregor Blanco. First home run given up by Despaigne, and it's 1-0 Giants.
That pitch just up in the zone, and Blanco drives this thing. Day game, warm. Shouldn't say day game, but sunny still here. Ball will fly a bit. But that's what the Giants need. They just need something to feel good about themselves.
Brandon Crawford now after the 2-out home run by Blanco.
You see where Grandal set up. He's down and away, almost off of the plate. That's where he wants the pitch. But look at where this thing ends up. I mean, down the middle, up in the zone. And again, hitters don't hit home runs. Pitchers give up home runs. And what that means is most of the time you'll see on replays, they completely miss their spot.
Crawford behind 0-2 now. Brandon Crawford, like Blanco, like Morse, like many of these Giants hitters, in a bit of a funk. 5 for his last 33. And perhaps on the day that Gregor Blanco could get it going, maybe Brandon Crawford can follow suit. You know, back to that Blanco home run, Eric. It's really been the offensive misgiving that has led to the Giants' demise here in the standings. That home run by Blanco was San Francisco's 10th since June 9th. Almost a month. And they just now get into double digits in home runs. And I get it. They play in a non-home run conducive environment at AT&T. They're down here in San Diego, and the NL West isn't exactly a launching pad if you get outside of Denver and Phoenix. But to hit 10 home runs in a month.
Well, and what that also does, it puts a ton of pressure on your offense because you have to string together a number of hits to create a run. You know, in April and May, these guys are bombing balls. One swing of the bat can account for 2 or 3 runs. You mentioned that the power of the slugging has just disappeared.
Crawford with a little tapper that Despaigne gets to retire the side. Gregor Blanco's first of the year, however, has opened the scoring for the Giants after an inning and a half in San Diego. It's San Francisco on top 1-0. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by the Lincoln Summer Invitation. Visit your Lincoln showroom today. We mentioned last half inning how the quick drop in the standings by the Giants was historic. In fact, it took only 22 days to drop that 9.5 game lead and go down to second place. The quickest nosedive out of the top spot in Major League history. Yasmani Grandal leads things off in the home half of inning number 2 for San Diego. Grandal, Gobert, and Maben. Keeping our eyes on the rest of the NL West on this afternoon, Eric. The Dodgers lost 8-7 today. That's now a final. And that means if San Francisco can win here this afternoon, it's just a half game of separation between they and the heavy payroll boys in blue. Two balls and a strike to Yasmani Grandal. There do seem to be the real haves and have-nots within the NL West. The Dodgers, of course, the bullies on the block, outspending everybody. The Giants have resources to compete in that arena, though I don't think they'll ever outspend the Dodgers. And then there's everybody else.
Yeah, for me, really, it's a two-team division, and it's the Dodgers and the Giants. And the reality is the Dodgers have more resources. Thus, they can afford to make a few more mistakes. An organization like the Padres, they've got to be right on. That doesn't mean they can't compete, because I think they will. And you can see with what they've done with their pitching, the pitching staff is as good as anywhere. But again, when they do those multi-year deals, when they do their drafts, you just can't afford to make mistakes. There's A.J. Hinch right there.
One of the three acting GMs while the Padres are in a search for a new general manager.
Formerly a manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Well, there were a lot of expectations in San Diego this year, and perhaps some of those expectations were a little high. And whenever that's the case, there's an accountability issue. And the new ownership group here in San Diego wants to win. They don't want to be one of the at-large teams that just kind of fills out the schedule for the Dodgers and Giants every year. An opposite field base hit for Yasmani Grandal. Let's take a look at some of this afternoon's keys to the game, brought to you by Lincoln Motor Company.
San Francisco, this is the second time they have faced Espana, so they should have learned after seeing him the first time in San Francisco. San Diego, they score 4 or more at home. They are 15-0 this year.
Sounds pretty easy, doesn't it?
Very simple.
Just
right
score more.
Just score 4 runs. Game over.
First offering to Jake Gobert has popped into center field, and Blanco is there for it. There's one away. So 1 out, 1 on for Tim Hudson here in the home second. Tim Hudson, a 3-time All-Star. Fox's coverage of the 2014 Midsummer Classic coming up just a week plus away. And we asked both managers when we visited with them before the game today about all-star representation. And I don't think either one of them wanted to give anything away. But it would be a pretty safe guess to talk about Houston Street representing the Padres. He's been terrific. Cameron Maben with a shot to Arias at third to panic for one. The relay is in time to double him off. Nothing comes despite the leadoff single. More All-Star talk as we continue after a word from your local Fox station. has the Giants on top of San Diego 1-0 through 2. Back with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian, and Adrisimar Despaigne ready to go back to work in his third inning of work today. Joe Panik will lead things off. He's followed by the pitcher Tim Hudson, and then the top of the order Hunter Pence. Well, Joe Panik has had most of the opportunity at second base since having his contract purchased last month from AAA Fresno. His first stint at the big league level has been a good one. In fact, he was leading the Pacific Coast League in hits at the time of his call-up, batting a robust .321. As impressive as all that may be, he knows full well that there is help on the way at that position. Marco Scutaro is getting closer and closer to making his first appearance in 2012, getting over what has been a very troubling back injury that's kept him on the bench and now finally on a rehab stint.
He's got some time down in the Arizona League. And the thing is, even when he does come back, you're not going to be able to run him out there every day.
It's a bouncer to first. Oh my, and on the transfer to first base, it looked like Despaigne just lost the handle on it.
I'm not so sure I like the flip from Gobert. I mean, you look at it, instead of getting it more of a line drive without the arc to Despaigne, he kind of gets underneath it and just lofts it, which is very difficult for a pitcher. When he's running to first base, you want to hit him in the waist or at least the chest. This is over the head. I mean, Despaigne may get charged with the air there, but I got to give it to the first baseman. Yeah, they scored that at E1, and that just, you got to get a better feed.
So now Tim Hudson with an opportunity to sacrifice a runner over. His first attempt is pushed foul. The Padres have been a good, if not spectacular, defensive club for most of the year. They have a top 5 fielding percentage among National League teams. And I think that's more noteworthy when you consider all the starting players that they've been without for such a long time. Jake Gobert is not option 1A at first base. Hudson does drop down the bunt. It's a good one. Well, the offense jump started with a home run. They're playing the small ball here in the top half of the third, and we asked manager Bruce Bochy between innings what, if anything, he can do to get his offense going.
Well, I think as a manager, yeah, I mean, you try to do anything you can to help them get out of it. We mixed it up, tried to shake things up, the lineup, meetings, take BP, don't take BP, you know, and sometimes you can overdo it. I think you just need to stay the course and keep reminding the guys how good they were, and that's the team that we are, and we'll come out of this. Every team goes through it. It's not important that it happens, but it's how you deal with it, and we'll come out of this.
Hey, Boch, thanks for the visit as always. Best of luck the rest of the way.
All right, guys. Good talking with you. Thanks.
Thanks.
You know, one thing about Bruce Bochy that's been the case, whether he was here managing the Padres or in San Francisco, he stays the same guy. There's not a lot of panic in a guy who's been skippering in the big leagues for 20 years.
And that's why there isn't panic. He's been around the game. He understands the game. There are going to be stretches like this. And while some people may be all up in arms and want changes and send this guy out or trade for this guy, the reality is it is a long season. You're going to have your ups and downs. And if you react every time things are going well or going poorly, it's going to drive you nuts.
Well, getting inside the numbers since the beginning of June, they are near the bottom in the big offensive categories: runs, home runs, slugging, runs batted in. We could keep doing that if we went through with a fine-tooth comb and talked about some of the sabermetrics delights. But that's all you need to know right there in that snapshot.
Well, we saw a picture of Michael Morris, the big man outfielder. He's played some first base, but I think he really reflects what's gone on offensively for this ball club. Sure that they're missing Angel Pagan, and he should be back after the break sometime. But Michael Morris, I mean, his first 2 months, 21 doubles. He had 13 home runs, 44 RBIs. But since the beginning of June, he's been basically absent. He's only hit 2 home runs and driven in 6.
Here's ball 4 to Hunter Pence. So for the second time in 3 innings open today, the Giants have runners at first and second with less than 2 out. And here's Brandon Belt now. He drew a base on balls in the first and then was caught stealing to end the inning. Panic and Pence aboard with only 1 away. Well, Brandon Belt was en route as we continue the theme of the All-Star game coming in about a week and a half. He was certainly en route to an All-Star type start to the season. The month of April was fantastic. 50 games lost after the thumb injury. And those numbers that looked so good at the end of April don't look as impressive in terms of an All-Star resume after missing 50.
Well, in that graphic we showed where the Giants have really struggled, especially in the slugging department, the home runs. I mean, he started off the year, he had 9 home runs when he went on the disabled list. This is a guy that had a great spring, and for the last few years has always been looked upon as this is going to be the next real solid position player for the Giants.
They'll jam shot pop up for Conrad, and that's out number 2. Well, to a player that was putting together an all-star start to the season, to one that is firmly in the midst of another all-star campaign. Buster Posey, the 2012 National League MVP, already twice an all-star, and putting together the kind of resume again this year after a big June that should find him in Minneapolis in a week and a half.
Just solid. I was watching his batting practice yesterday. Gets in the cage, hits some balls to right, hits some to left, hits some up the middle. Not up there trying to launch everything into the stands. Just a very disciplined player.
Posey entered play this afternoon, having hit safely in 25 of his last 29 games, and it was his month of June that put him back on track. Hit .362 last month. Panic and Pence aboard, 2 out, top of the 3rd. Belt high fastball in for a strike.
This is where it becomes tough as a hitter against a guy that throws from different angles, has a bunch of different pitches. You're down 0-2. And this is where you want to spread out. You just want to try to make contact. Make something happen.
See, Grandal wants it on the corner. How'd you do against funky guys like Despaigne?
No bueno. Not good. Not good. I wasn't into all that backyard wiffle ball stuff. That didn't really suit me very well.
I don't know that it suits anybody, right? But don't most guys prefer
some consistency?
Yeah. A ball and 2 strikes that counts to Buster Posey.
I mean, I remember having a discussion with Mike Piazza when he was with the Mets, and they'd have those interleague games against the Yankees, and him having to face El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, and he said that was the toughest at bat because of all the different arm angles, the high leg kick, him hiding the ball, changing his arm slot.
Two balls and 2 strikes.
Grandal does a nice job of moving his feet, keeping the runners at bay. It's the other thing, you talk about hitting. How about having to catch a guy like this?
That's a good point.
Again, Grandal did not get to work with him in spring training, as Despaigne was a sign in May.
Another good play by Grandal behind the plate. It's gone to a full count now. Joaquin Arias waiting on deck.
Hey, Grandal just throwing that glove out there in that situation, doing a nice job, nice soft hands. I mean, so as a hitter, he's just throwing 2 of those breaking balls in the dirt away. So as a hitter, you're going to eliminate that pitch. No way he's going to throw that 3-2.
Runners will get a head start with 2 gone. 1-0 Giants in the 3rd. There they go, and there's ball 4 to Posey. An error and a pair of walks have loaded the bases in the San Francisco 3rd.
Espana will get a visit. Pitching coach Darren Balsley.
We talked about Darren Balsley a little bit earlier. He's in his 12th season as the Padres pitching coach. Local guy, Mount Carmel College. And he doesn't get the accolade that some pitching coaches may get around the league because he's in San Diego, quote unquote, small market team. We get all that. But he's got plenty of advocates out there, including Greg Maddux, who has said on record that of the pitching coaches that he's been around in his entire career, Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, minor leagues, his whole career, Darren Balsley's the best he's ever worked with.
That's saying something. And you look every year, though, the Padres, especially on the bullpen side of things, just every year, excellent pitching. Starters, you know, they come and go.
So here is Arias now after the base on balls to load the bases. He takes strike 1.
Remember, this is a spot that Pablo Sandoval in his first at bat was hit on the arm. Had to leave the game. Joaquin Arias now filling that spot.
Mike Morse waits next. Bases loaded, 2 away, top of the 3rd. You know, we don't mean to numb Giant fans with these subpar numbers. However, in situations like this, bases loaded, runners in scoring position, the results have not been good. San Francisco is 8 for its last 61 with runners in scoring position. That's a $130. Two balls and a strike.
Despaigne just doesn't seem to have the location today. And when he's missing, it's not as though he's missing just by a little bit. There have been a few pitches, but he's bouncing an awful lot today.
Three balls and a strike.
I mean, those are easy takes as a hitter. You know, you're not even questioning whether you should offer or not. Here, Arias has just got to look for something up over the plate. If it's not there, don't swing, even if it's a strike.
It's been a 24-pitch struggle for Despaigne this inning. Arias with a drive out to right center field, and that's going to get Despaigne off the hook. He was able to wiggle out of a tight spot. A couple of walks, an error, and nothing in the Giant 3rd. night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 85th All-Star Game Tuesday, July 15th, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. The National League All-Star balloting. As we near the end of the process, there's some tight races, including first and third, where Aramis Ramirez and Paul Goldschmidt have the vote currently. David Wright's giving Aramis Ramirez a pretty good run for his money at third. And what did you say about first base?
Mark Reynolds, second base.
Mark Reynolds.
Yeah, first.
Brewer fans
Brewers,
going crazy stuff in the ballots. Brooks Conrad leads things off in the Padres half of the third. Conrad, Amarista, and Despaigne bottom of the order for San Diego. We talked about Houston Street being the Padres' likely all-star. Seth Smith's had a great year. Could be a pair going from this roster. What about the Giants? Who do you think's going from San Francisco's roster?
I think Buster Posey has to go. I think he's had a solid season so far up to this point. I mean, you got to take three catchers. I think Molina, LaCroix, and Posey. I mean, any one of those guys could start.
Yeah. Bouncer for Belt. And one away in the third. As we mentioned, the Dodger game is a final. Let's go to Kevin Burkhardt at the Fox Studios for a game break. All right, Kevin, thanks. Boy, Dan Herron coming off a great outing on Monday, allowed just one hit and knocked around today. I guess that's what a day in Denver can do to you.
Yeah, not good if you're a pitcher. I will forever say that. Not fun pitching if you have to do it in Colorado.
Alexi Amarista now with one away and the base is empty. He takes strike one from Tim Hudson. Continuing the all-star conversation as you look at Amarista's season line. And Bruce Bochy would love if more consideration could go to Tim Hudson. He had a conversation with Mike Matheny recently with the Cardinals and Giants getting together for a series. They had a chance to visit about all-star names. And I think Mike Matheny had his eyes on a few guys, and to paraphrase the conversation, Boch said, "Hey, Mike, let me tell you a little bit about Tim Hudson." Not that Mike needed to hear about it, but it does make the point when you hear one manager plead a case and talk about how instrumental Hudson has been, not only in terms of the Giants' success, but as a veteran leader. He's the new guy, but he's the guy that the entire staff looks up to.
Well, he's the type of guy that not only what he does out in the mound, but in the clubhouse. And just a presence. Been around the game, willing to help anybody. About as solid a teammate as you'll ever be around, position player or pitcher. Had a chance to play alongside of him in Oakland, and he was still young then. But I tell you, as competitive as of a guy that I ever played with. You look at 16 straight winning seasons.
Jam shot pop into shallow center field. There's Blanco ranging over toward left to make the catch. And going through the kind of physical adversity he's gone through. Tommy John surgery. He's had a variety of back problems, each of which could have derailed him. Guy that missed almost 2 years.
Well, remember that gruesome ankle injury.
Forgot about that one. There's Despaigne now with two out and the base is empty. So the Giants make their hay with starting pitching. That's not exactly a secret. And with Matt Cain and Tim Lincecum, Ryan Vogelsong, and that man, Madison Bumgarner, and the big-toed Tim Hudson, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better five-man rotation. The results simply haven't been there the last few weeks. And a call strike three taken by Despaigne. Hudson threw the minimum through three and leading 1-0. is sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser, here's to baseball. And by T-Mobile. Major League Baseball's coverage of the All-Star Game festivities begins tomorrow on ESPN with the 2014 Taco Bell All-Star Selection Show at 7 Eastern, continuing Monday, July 14th with the 2014 Gillette Home Run Derby at 8 Eastern. All this talk about the All-Star Game and Target Field in Minneapolis will be a terrific host for the Midsummer Classic. What do we got to do to get an All-Star Game in San Diego? This is what the league is calling for. There's not a finer destination for an All-Star Game than this place right here.
Well, it's amazing. The last one, 1992. Prior to that, 1978. I remember sitting in the stands at Jack Murphy. But you're talking about a venue to have an All-Star Game, that all the surrounding area. This place is it.
Mike Morse leads things off in the Giants' half of the fourth inning. Morse, Blanco, and Crawford. There's a big breaking ball taken for a strike. That's close to an Ephus pitch. At least as close to what we have now.
Yeah, again, as a hitter, you're just not ready for anything like that. He just floats that up there, slow little curve ball, just rolls it on up.
You know, back to the All-Star Game and Petco Park being a host venue, one would guess that it's certainly on the radar on Park Avenue at the Major League Baseball headquarters. This is the oldest of the quote-unquote new parks not to have gotten one. And as you mentioned, Eric, with the location, the convention center just across the street, the waterfront, a terrific downtown landscape, I don't know that you could find a better location.
Well, and you've got new ownership now. Ron Fowler, Peter Seidler running things. And Mike D, head of the baseball operations. I mean, all of those sort of things just, it says All-Star Game here in San Diego. It really does.
One gone for Gregor Blanco now. His home run, the margin of difference so far this afternoon. Politics being what they are, I think it was easier to pass over San Diego for an All-Star Game before the current ownership group took over. But I know it's a really highly respected group, certainly as far as New York is concerned. And I know fans here hope that that makes a difference to bring an All-Star Game to San Diego soon. The 0-1 to Blanco. A ball and a strike. You know, you wonder how long the leash for Adrisimar Despaigne this afternoon, Eric. He's had to battle through some high pitch count innings. He's given the Giants every opportunity to pad that lead.
Well, he has, but you look at it, the reality is one bad pitch to Gregor Blanco, and that's accounted for all the scoring. A 1-0 ball game. If you look at everything that's gone on, you would think, Padres are probably down 4 or 5 runs, but again, Despaigne keeping them in the ball game. It's 1-0 here in the fourth.
Slowest. An Ephus pitch and a 76-mile-an-hour slurve something here to strike out Gregor Blanco.
I'm telling you, just go out in your backyard, get a sock, wrap it up, and start throwing it hard, slow, trying to curve it, because that's what these giant hitters are having to face today.
Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball, presents the walk-off. Great walk-offs are waiting at foxsports.com/Budweiser. Grab some buds. 2 gone bases empty now for the left-handed hitting shortstop Brandon Crawford, who bounced back to the mound to end the second. That puts Crawford at a 5 for 34 that he's trying to break himself free of here this afternoon. On the ground to first. Gobert to Despaigne. And the Giants go down in order in the fourth. Middle of the fourth inning, 1-0 San Francisco. It's the top of the Padres order in the bottom of the fourth inning. Ian Kennedy not pitching in this series, and that gives him an opportunity to wear a microphone with us and just get completely crushed by seeds and Gatorade and whatever else they can get for free out of the clubhouse. Ian, thanks for the conversation. Just another day in San Diego, right? 1-0, not a lot of guys on base. You guys have become reluctantly used to this kind of thing.
Yeah, especially playing these guys. We've played a lot of close games with the Giants. You know, they have good pitching. You know, it's going to be a tough game for pitchers, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's quick.
When you see a guy like Despaigne out there throwing, and he's got all the different arm angles, and he's throwing 60 miles an hour, and then 83, 90, I mean, is that fun to watch for you as a pitcher?
Yeah, because you don't know what arm angles or what pitch he's going to throw. I think Cash and I were just talking. I think our favorite, the favorite pitch he throws is the slow curveball. Yeah. And watching hitters just take it. I think Morris just took one last inning, and he was mad that he took it because it was right down the middle.
We're told that his English is not as strong as his Spanish, but we're also told there's a nickname for him that's being floated down there in the clubhouse. El Duque's been spoken for, so somebody has suggested El Conde, which means the Count. Are you endorsing that? Yeah. How do you feel about that for him?
That's right under the El Duque, right?
Yeah.
I understand that.
The Count is under a Duke, I believe.
I've heard that. I haven't caught on to it. I don't know. I just call him right now. I just trying to remember just his real name as it is.
What is it?
I call him ODB.
ODB.
Yeah, just like the rapper. OD.
Seth Smith looking for a 2-2 pitch, and he fouls away. You know, but getting back to the fact, Ian, that you guys have seen so many low-scoring games as a staff. And Tyson and Andrew, who are there with you, peppering you with seeds. I'm sure it's discussed that, you know, you guys allow 3-4 runs, and it's going to be tough sledding. How does that affect your psyche when you take the mound?
You know, it's we attack it this way. If we make it later on in the season, this is like in the first month we talked about this. Later on in the season, when games are really on the line, we already been through it. That every single run counts. And couple of years pitching the playoffs, using that experience, that every run does matter because it could count against you, and hopefully you win the game. But if you get a run here or there, it doesn't happen too much in the playoffs. So, for us, Darren Balsley said, it's going to get us ready for the playoffs if we get there. Help us in the future, whether with the Padres or somewhere else. Just that mentality of you're grinding on every single pitch, you're not giving anything in. So it definitely is. It's going to make us better pitchers in the long run of our career.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Seth Smith. And he's hanging around. Well, the last 5 games, and we're showing some numbers right now, Ian, have been amazing. And that means everybody's last turn has been terrific. A .53 ERA. You've been a part of some really good staffs in your career. Postseason, as you mentioned, when you were with the Diamondbacks. How does this one compare?
This one's really good. With Darren Balsley as our pitching coach and Bud Black as our manager, it's really pitcher friendly. Our scouting reports are unbelievable. But just the talent. Tyson Ross is one of the nastiest guys I've seen in a long time, with nasty sinker. One of the best sliders I've ever seen in person. Cashner, when he's healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in the National League. And Stoltz is a lot of fun to watch too. He pitched well yesterday. You see what he is. He throws lots of strikes. If he's ball down in the zone, he's going to get a lot of missed hits. I've seen even his bad outings are. He a lot of ground balls through the holes, but they're nothing hit real hard. He's going to give up a couple homers here and there, but for the most part, he goes out there and throws a ton of strikes, hits bats, and it's a lot of fun. Our pitching staff and our bullpen is unbelievable. Just to know that we can come out, if we go 6 innings, we're going to feel pretty good about our chances of winning that game if we're ahead. I think I'm not going to say anything, but our numbers are pretty good after 7 innings. We got Benoit and Houston back there, so it's a great bullpen to have behind you as a starter.
I'll say it, you haven't lost a game after 7 innings if you've got the lead. How's that? Is that pretty good?
Yeah, that's pretty
I'll
good.
say it. So you mentioned Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, and Matty up here talked about it earlier in the telecast where Greg Maddux said he was the best pitching coach he ever played for. What makes Darren so good?
That quote right there says a lot, because that's one of the best pitchers of all time. I just got hit with a bunch of. I'm trying to keep my composure.
Oh, you're doing a great job.
Just the way he attacks our game plan, it's individualized. He'll make one for me. He'll make one for Tyson. Make one for Cash. Stoltz is. We're all different type of pitchers, so he's going to make it tailored to us. And I love that, because it's not every pitcher's the same. And I love it. It's like the approach of you feel like you're going to come out of that meeting, you're going to do well.
Hey, Ian, before we let you go, with 2 away here in the 4th, I know your next start is in Denver when you guys hit the road and face the Rockies. You're an NL West vet. I love asking guys about it. The whole Coors Field sensation, is it as hard to pitch there as we're led to believe?
After pitching there so many times, you have to learn some of the tricks of maybe just getting used to playing in Colorado. A lot of it is the recovery part. You talk about it, a bunch of guys who played there. They've learned just how to recover for the next start. For me, it's going out there, and my routine is going to say the same.
Well, we're going to let you recover from getting peppered by full wads of bubble gum. Thanks for the conversation. Good luck Monday.
Thanks,
in Denver.
guys. Thank you.
Fox Sports Supports is proud to provide a day at the ballpark for 30 family members in recognition of the Army's Gold Star Pin campaign, which honors the families of fallen service members. Families arrive to today's game on the Fox Sports San Diego Fan Express. Special thanks to the Gold Star families who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country and having to lose a loved one. Please visit www.goldstarpins.org to learn more. 1-0 San Francisco, top half of the 5th. The Gold Star families arriving to today's game. Great to have them here this afternoon. Joe Panik leads things off. It'll be Panik followed by Hudson and Pence in the visitors' half of the 5th. Two balls and a strike to Joe Panik. Little breaking ball taken for a strike. 2-2. Well, Despaigne has been in and out of trouble for much of the afternoon. Yes, he gave up the home run in the second to Gregor Blanco. He had runners at first and second before recording it out in the first. Got out of that jam. Bases loaded in the third and escaped from it.
Again, it hasn't been easy for him, but really one bad pitch to Gregor Blanco. Giving up that home run to right center.
And there is ball 4. The 4th base on balls tonight by Despaigne.
And the thing is, he hasn't been burned yet, but every inning he's teetering on the edge. And at some point, his giant ball club's going to burst through.
Tim Hudson executed a sacrifice in a situation just like this one back in the third. He'll try to do it again, no doubt, and set up Pence and Belt to try to drive in that run.
Tim Hudson can swing the bat as well.
That one rolls just foul.
He was an outfielder, Tim Hudson was, at Auburn in his collegiate days. Believe it or not, holds a lot of the offensive records there. There's another guy that went to Auburn, if you don't, Mr. Frank Thomas.
Ah.
And Tim Hudson will be the first to tell you that it's he who has most of the offensive records. And not our colleague and Hall of Famer, the Big Hurt.
Wait, you're telling me that Tim Hudson has more offensive records at
He's
Auburn?
got a few of them. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about like sacrifice flies or anything.
0-1 the count to Hudson with a runner aboard. Nobody out here, top of the 5th. Look, bunt, took a strike, and now he's behind 0-2.
Huddy's a real good athlete. Can swing the bat and do a lot of things.
Veteran third base coach Tim Flannery. Lifetime Padre before he changed colors and went up north. 11 years as a player in San Diego. A lot of time in the organization. Been a member of Bruce Bochy's staff and a fixture for the World Championship success. Runner goes, and Hudson fouls it away. Boy, they start the runner. Here's a perfect example of what Bruce Bochy talked about before the game. I got to do something. I got to get this going somehow. So on an 0-2 count with your pitcher up, you start the runner. Why not?
Again, he hasn't been able to do a lot. Hadn't had a lot of base runners. Again, you got somebody up at the plate that can handle the bat well.
Hudson taps it to first. Gobert to shortstop covering. They get the out there. Not in time to double off Hudson. It's an aggressive play by Jake Gobert, and as it turned out, a good one. Kind of roll the dice there when you throw down to second base.
Yeah, I was surprised that he went after the runner in that situation, but again, he records the out at second base, almost turns the double play. The other thing now, you put Huddy out on the base paths, and as a pitcher, you'd always like to be in there getting some rest.
So it's Hudson aboard with one away. Back to the top of the order now, Hunter Pence, who has singled and walked this afternoon. Yeah, the Giants will be the first to tell you that Hunter Pence has made strides in refining his batter's eye. Fact is, he still chases at a higher rate than the major league average. Didn't pull the trigger on that one on the corner. It's 1-1.
Just watching him take BP yesterday, just a lot of moving parts, violent swing. He hitting some balls that were as far as anybody I'd seen hit. Also noticing the pants; those are high pants, and we're not talking about knee high. We're talking about above the knee.
Yeah, he's got the rally britches on today. Very aggressive look. You know, back to his chase rate. The major league chase rate is 30%. 30% of pitches out of the strike zone will be offered at. Pence's chase rate is 36%. That might not sound like a big deal. In fact, it is. He lays off that one. It's 2-2. But therein lies the struggle if you're the Giants. You don't want to take away his naturally aggressive nature at the plate, but you might not want him to turn into Vladimir Guerrero. On the ground is shortstop. Amarista to Conrad. Back to Gobert, not in time. I think Jake might have come off the first base bag on a slightly wide throw.
Well, a good job of Pence hustling down the first base to beat that throw. Not only to keep the inning alive, but more importantly, it's going to allow Tim Hudson to get in that dugout and sit down and catch his breath. He easily beats that throw. You know, now if you're Brandon Belt, unless you get something you can drive out of the park, you got to take a pitch or two and let Huddy catch his breath in there. Man, that's just doing you a favor right there. Despaigne throwing over to first.
Belt has popped up and walked this afternoon. He was caught stealing back in the first. Our only run today, the Gregor Blanco solo home run. Among the unlikeliest of power sources. You know, as gangly and off-putting as Hunter Pence can look, with the above-the-knee britches, especially on base, he could really scrape himself up getting back to that first base bag. Almost looks like he's wearing lederhosen. There it goes. And a ground ball to first is handled by Gobert to retire the side. Nothing in the Giant fifth. Middle of the afternoon, still 1-0 San Francisco. On Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Time to take a look at our game summary by Moto G for Motorola. Not a whole lot to summarize in terms of the offensive sides of the scorecard. Solo home run by Gregor Blanco, his first of the year. The difference today. Giants playing without Pablo Sandoval, who was hit by a pitch in the first inning. And Tim Hudson, who goes back to work in the fifth, has been terrific as advertised. Yasmani Grandal, Jake Gobert, and Cameron Maybin, middle of the Padres order here in the fifth. Grandal single, the only San Diego Padre hit today so far. It is extremely unlikely, almost impossible for San Diego to win with one hit today. However, there have been a couple of games this year where San Diego has won despite only one hit. No breaking balls in for a strike, and it's 2 balls and a strike now to Yasmani Grandal. In 45 years of franchise history, entering the season, the Padres had only 2 one-hit wins. This year, they've matched that total in just 3 months alone. You're not supposed to win with one hit, ever.
They just did it recently against the Cincinnati Reds and former teammate Matt Latos.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
There's no question. I mean, this ballpark it's built for defense. Catch the ball, good starting pitching.
A drive out to left center. Morse and Blanco are out there. Mike Morse makes the catch as we check in with Kevin Burkhardt at the Fox Sports Studios for a game break. All right, Kevin, thanks. Yeah, Nick Hundley became kind of a surplus guy here. Shipped over to Baltimore when it appeared that Matt Wieters would not play again in 2014. And who'd have thought, DK, the Orioles in this talent payroll rich AL East with a share of the pie.
That thing's a long way from being over, too. That thing can flip so many different ways as we head into the All-Star break. I mean, there's nobody really, if you're looking at that group, I mean, is there anybody that just jumps out? I mean, for me, I mean, they've all got their weaknesses. They've all had certain spurts during this year where they look like, hey, they're pretty good. The only team that really hasn't jumped out is Tampa Bay. But even recently, they've been playing some better baseball.
They have. And I think more surprising than Baltimore having a share of the top spot is Toronto being there. We know that the Blue Jays can hit and hit for power, but I don't know that any of us saw that pitching staff keeping them as relevant as they have so far. They've been among the great surprises this year.
Well, you know, they've been a surprise, and they were atop the division for a couple of weeks, but I'm not so sure that they were atop the division because they were so good, or that just we've been so accustomed to having a dominant team or two being in that Eastern Division and just running away with things.
It's a good point.
You look at all around all of baseball. I mean, even with the A's in the American League West, I mean, the divisions are wide open.
1-0 to Gobert stays high, the 1-2 rather, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to the San Diego first baseman. One out, bases empty, 1-0 Giants, bottom half of the fifth. Well, that parity that you speak of, and I think that's where you're going in terms of, you know, it being difficult to kind of guess where we're going to end up in September as Gobert strikes out for round number 2. It extends even to home teams.
You see Huddy going after him with an off-speed pitch. Gregor just out in front of that. Hudson's been great today. He's been moving the ball around. He's been keeping these hitters off balance. Everything's been working for him. That sinker's been sinking. Dave Righetti, the pitching coach.
2 gone now for Cameron Maybin. Entering play yesterday, July 4th, the home team has a winning percentage this year of .511. Since 1961, and that covers the expansion era, what's known as the expansion era, the only season in which home teams have had a lower winning percentage on July 4th, entering play on July 4th, that is, was the weird abbreviated post-strike 1995 campaign, which I'm sure you remember all too unfondly. But it's amazing to me that the home team wins about half the time. That's not supposed to be the way it goes.
Well, you have this perception that, you know, home field advantage, but you're talking about football or basketball. I can see where that can have an impact playing at home in front of you. With baseball, there's so many games. It's just.
So you don't buy a baseball home field advantage?
No, not really. I mean, there's a few places. Maybe San Francisco, the crowd is great there. Tough place to play if you're an opposing team. The Twins
used to have it.
Used to have it at the Metrodome.
Well, I know that when the Padres moved into this ballpark for 2004, the roster at the time wasn't quite tailored properly for the ballpark because nobody knew how it was going to play out. There were those that thought it was going to be a bandbox, myself included. Maybin bounces it to shortstop for Brandon Crawford. It's another 1-2-3 inning for Tim Hudson. He's been terrific today, and he leads at 1-0. Back in Body, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. And by Burger King. Right now, try the new extra long barbecue cheeseburger. Back inside Petco Park, a 1-0 lead for the Giants as Odrisamar Despaigne continues. Buster Posey leads things off in the visitors' 6th. He's followed by Joaquin Arias and Mike Morse. Only run of the afternoon, the Gregor Blanco solo shot in the 2nd. Posey lined into a double play and has walked today. Despaigne begging a little bit on a pitch that was clearly outside to fall behind 2-0.
Well, again, as much as he's missed today, he's probably not going to get the benefit of the doubt on any close pitches.
They rushed that one up there at about 91 miles an hour to make it a 2-1 count.
And that seems awfully fast. Again, as a hitter, you're seeing pitches that are in the 70s.
He got the same corner he missed on earlier. Okay, so it's 2-2.
Well, I can tell you, in the last half inning, there were a few pitches Tim Hudson did not get on the outside part of the plate that Buster Posey was holding for a couple seconds longer than normal.
Bruce Bochy talks about hitting speed being anywhere between 88 and 91 miles an hour. He calls it the Dale Jarrett zone, being a NASCAR guy. And so far today, Despaigne has done a terrific job of avoiding cruising in that Dale Jarrett zone.
Again, hitting is all about disrupting, or I should say pitching is about disrupting the hitter's timing.
3-2 to Buster Posey. A line shot out to right field. Will Venable back on it, shy of the track to make the catch. You know, we all think we know the real Buster Posey. You know his real name is Gerald Dempsey Posey III. In fact, let's take that a little deeper. We don't even know the real name of Yogi Berra. A lot of people assume Lawrence Peter Berra. Some of us knew that one. How about Chipper Jones? Mets fans know his name is Larry Wayne Jones Jr. because they chanted it every time he came to Shea. Whitey Ford, real name, Edward Charles. Cy Young, Denton True Young. And unless you go to Cooperstown and read the plaques, you might not know or care what the real names were. Did you know that Buster Posey's real name was Gerald Dempsey Posey?
No idea.
It's our Cliff Clavin moment. A ball and a strike to count to Joaquin Arias. Call him MVP as far as Giant fans are concerned. A ball and 2 strikes to count to Arias. Joaquin Arias took over at third base for Pablo Sandoval after the Panda was hit by a pitch. Pablo never got out there to play defensively. That happened in the first inning today. He holds up, and it's 2-2.
You see the movement on that fastball too, that just running in. The one thing about Despaigne, nothing's straight. Everything has some sort of movement, whether it's in, out.
Appeal down to first, and that's where James Hoy says no, did not swing the bat. Full count now, 3-2. Mike Morse waits on deck, 0 for 2 so far this afternoon. Despaigne has walked 4. This is his 8th full count of the start. Arias with a drive to left. Smith is back on it to make the catch. In case you're tuning in late, here's a scoring recap. That's it. Maybe Gregor Blanco had a sense in the second that would be a game winner, because he rounded the pillows like it was the 9th.
Well, when it's the first one of your season, you can get a little excited about it.
I understand. So here's Mike Morse now.
This is a guy for me with this Giant ball club. If he can get on track and get back to any semblance of what he was in April and May, Giants are going to be much better off. But this was the power, it was the extra base hits, driving in runs. You know, and you look at the numbers right there, you go, wow, they're having a nice year. Problem is, most of that damage was done the first 2 months of the season.
2 balls and no strikes to Mike Morse. Well, if Mike Morse is your key guy, I think for me, in terms of the Giants finding their swagger again, it's getting Angel Pagan healthy again. The numbers with and without Pagan are staggering, and I think Bruce Bochy's tired of hearing about them. But the Giants are 40 games over 500 with him and under 500 without him in the lineup. And his absence has been a big part of this recent slide. There's the 3-0 home to Morse. Takes a swing on 3-0 and misses. It's all right there. Fewer runs per game. Winning percentage isn't nearly as good, and they can't get him back fast enough. That's a date likely to happen after the All-Star break.
We just had an epidural the other day. Give him a couple of days to let that settle in, and then he'll begin moving around again. But again, the ideal target is after the All-Star break, but even that may be optimistic right after the break.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Mike Morse. And Espana gets him swinging. Coming back from being behind 3-0 to finish off a 1-2-3 top of the 6th.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
75 years ago yesterday, the anniversary of the iconic Lou Gehrig luckiest man speech, and certainly the last number of years Major League Baseball has been very active in generating funds for ALS awareness to try to find a cure. Major League Baseball has donated $300,000 to 4 organizations leading the fight against the disease, and encourage fans to donate via a specially dedicated site found on MLBcommunity.org. Brooks Conrad leads things off in the home 6th. Bottom of the order, trying to crack through against Tim Hudson, Conrad, Amarista, and Espana. A ball and 2 strikes to Brooks Conrad. Folks might remember Brooks Conrad from earlier in his major league career, time in the big leagues with the Braves, Milwaukee, Tampa Bay, some time with the Oakland A's. Was having a nice season at El Paso, Padres AAA affiliate, at the time of his call-up, hitting 275, and selected to the big league roster on Tuesday. He is a San Diego area native and was, as you'd imagine, very excited to debut for his hometown team when he made his first appearance as a Padre yesterday.
Yep, out of Monte Vista High School out in the East County.
Behind the ball and 2 strikes. Former Braves teammates. Brooks and Tim were teammates back in 2010 when Brooks had a pretty rough day in the postseason. A 3-error game in the division series. Certainly he got a lot of focus that day, but as an example as to how well liked he was and how respected he was in that Braves clubhouse, to a man, that roster stood behind him and said it wasn't Brooks Conrad that lost this game, it was us. There's a base hit for him. It's the second knock of the afternoon against Tim Hudson. So Conrad aboard now. Alexi Amarista has flied to center today. Conrad runs well. Let's see if Buddy Black likes to play some small ball here.
Well, even a situation where you could get the runner moving, do some sort of hit and run. There you see Glenn Hoffman, former manager of the Dodgers, over there at third base, giving signs. He's got a pinch hitter on deck. Again, the Padres looking to manufacture things, make something happen.
There goes Conrad, and Amarista hits a hole on the right side. Runners at the corners with nobody out in the 6th.
Well, you see Conrad going. Bud Black has a hit and run. Amarista does a nice job shooting it through that hole. Doesn't have to hit it hard, but just put it on the ground. That's what we were talking about. Bud Black just trying to make something happen. An ideal spot, especially when the pitcher is set to hit next, and he was going to be pinch hit for it.
Yeah, Tommy Medica's grabbed a bat, and he'll pinch hit for Despaigne. Medica has had most of the opportunities at first base. Of late, that is. That's in the absence of Yonder Alonso. He will pinch hit here. Had a big pinch hit home run just a couple of weeks ago in San Francisco. And he's had some success off the bench this year, 6 for 18. The tying and go-ahead runs aboard with nobody out. Single by Brooks Conrad. That ended a stretch of 11 in a row retired by Hudson. And then Amarista singles. To 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, Tim Hudson running 2 fastballs in on Medica, trying to at least jam him or prevent him from hitting that sacrifice fly.
Top of the order, Seth Smith waiting next. The best and perhaps only chance San Diego's had so far, legitimate chance to break through against the San Francisco right-hander. You know, you could say, Eric, that situations like this have bothered the Padres, batting with runners in scoring position. But that's not entirely a true statement because they really haven't been able to get too many people on base. It's not just that RISP number that has led to their downfall. It's a variety of things.
Well, just not a ton of opportunities, and then when you do get those opportunities, you press them because you feel like I got to do it now. I only might get one at bat in a game where I come up with runners in scoring position. If you're hitting right now, you're looking for something up.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, now at this point, I'm just trying to put the ball in play. Giants will concede the run in order to turn a double play. So he tried to get you out early on in the count, going inside. Last 2 pitches have been outside. He's going to come back in.
The 2-2
goes away.
The Padres are hitting .204 this year with runners in scoring position. That's the lowest mark in baseball. They're one well-timed swing from pinch hitter Tommy Medica away from tying the ball game here, however.
I give you the Giants here. You could go hard inside. I think Medica is looking away. 3 pitches outside.
The next 2-2 offering on the corner to get him looking.
That's a great pitch by Tim Hudson. He just continued to go away. Medica, I thought, would be looking outside, just continuing to protect out there. And Hudson missed inside with 2 fastballs, but he was able to hit the plate on those outside pitches.
So now Seth Smith, who's hitless this afternoon, came into play today hot, 5 for his last 10, having hit safely in 3 in a row. Runners at the corners with 1 away. And on Tim Hudson's mind after the strikeout now is bouncing ball. Strike 1. The Giants, as an infield defense, have turned 95 double plays this year. That's the highest total in the National League. And when you have sinker ballers like Tim Hudson, a guy like Ryan Vogelsong who'll make you hit it on the ground, you can see how that number can rise in a hurry.
You see Brandon Crawford right there, one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. Product out of UCLA. Crawford, Giant fan growing up.
You find a way to work that in there just about every Saturday, don't you? That
the Giant fan?
That Bruin thing. A ball and a strike now, the count to Seth Smith. Now, make no mistake, this is Tim Hudson's hassle to try to solve. Nobody up in the Giants bullpen, still a reasonable pitch count. I think given the way San Francisco's bullpen has stumbled of late, you could see Tim Hudson for perhaps something deeper than this bottom of the 6th inning. And he and Buster Posey want to chat. Looking for the right combination to make Seth Smith hit it on the ground.
Well, and Buster might be thinking one thing, but Tim Hudson might be feeling something else. You know, again, just because you go over something about the way you attack a hitter As a pitcher, sometimes, you don't feel it that day. You don't feel having that certain pitch. And you've got to go with what's working for you that particular day. And being a veteran pitcher, Tim Hudson just kept shaking off. And then eventually, come on out to the mound and let's talk about it.
Well, these have been the situations that Dave Righetti knows Tim Hudson has been at his best in. Just a quick check-in at first base with Amarista. Hudson's ground ball percentage is second in the National League, just over 58%. He is annually atop that leaderboard. Only San Diego's Tyson Ross makes him hit it on the ground more often. So this is exactly what Ian Kennedy was talking about with us earlier, EK. You play in these 1-0 games, these low scorers, and it's not like it catches you by surprise the next time. This is how both of these pitching staffs are conditioned to operate.
Well, I think one of the things when you play in these types of games consistently, the game can hinge on one single pitch or one single play. So you've got to be on your toes constantly when you're playing defense.
Conrad and Amarista aboard with one away. Hudson trying to preserve his slim 1-run advantage. Two and two. Seth Smith, of course, after the monstrous month of May, became the kind of commodity that the Padres decided to make a commitment toward. Recently signing a 2-year, $13 million extension. All the numbers in line. A .311 career hitter in this ballpark, a place not renowned as a hitter's paradise. And leading off once again today. Wow, and almost caught looking. And how he wasn't, I'm not quite clear.
Well, that pitch was inside, but Tim Hudson has not been getting any of the calls, especially this inning and the previous inning. Mr. Posey probably feels like home plate umpire John Trumpain has missed a few.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Runner goes, and Smith sends a fly ball out to shallow left center field. Blanco parking under it. Do they try it with Conrad? They're going to let him go. Throw to the plate is cut off, and we are tied 1-1. For a moment, I didn't think that was going to be deep enough to get the run in.
I didn't think so as well. I thought that Blanco would have a shot at home plate. Belt cutting the ball off. See Conrad waiting till the ball has been caught. No play at home.
So now Will Venable.
Just what we thought, an offensive explosion here today. We got 1-1. Total of 5 hits.
Yeah. As advertised. Will Venable 0 for 2 so far this afternoon. That takes the overall average down to $196, over 50 points under his career batting average. A much better hitter than 2014 would indicate. And for the glass half full fan, that means that the law of averages dictates a good second half on the way for a hitter like Will Venable. 2 balls and no strikes.
Really, the Padres getting on the board this inning. You take a look at Will Venable, and the real difference is in those power numbers. 2 this year. But you go back, Bud Black putting on that hit and run with Amarista at the plate, Conrad at first base. That's been the biggest play of the inning so far.
You bet. 2 balls and a strike. Switch hitting third baseman Chase Headley scheduled next, coming off of a 4-for-4 game yesterday in the series opener. He'd love an opportunity here in this bottom of the 6th. In the air and right. Hence scampers under it to retire the side, but the Padres are on the scoreboard. Bud Black's guys happy. Bruce Bochy's guys not so much. We're tied at 1. Yeah, he's the subject of our T-Mobile Game Changer profile, official sponsor of Game Changers everywhere. Worked 6 innings today and left with a 1-1 tie on the scoreboard. Allowed 2 hits and a run. The home run by Gregor Blanco was about it. Survived 4 walks. We are at 1-1 heading to the back third.
Hey, he stayed away from the barrel of the bat. You know, we were just talking about it. It seems like San Francisco had him on the ropes a couple different times, but unable to break through.
Pitching change as Alex Torres takes over to make his 37th appearance of the year. Again, a 1-1 ball game as Torres goes to work on a trio of left-handed batters: Blanco, Crawford, and Panik. It was that high breaking pitch that Blanco jumped in the second and put the Giants on top early. 1 in the San Diego half of the 6th has brought us back to even. Well, the first thing that everybody talks about when Alex Torres comes into the ballgame isn't the fact that he's been real good out of the bullpen and has stranded 17 out of 18 runners. It's not the fact that he has worked scoreless ball in 29 of his 36 outings. It's the fact that he is the first big league player to wear the protective cap on the mound, called the ISO blocks cap. And there is ball 4 to Gregor Blanco. It's controversial only because visually it's so striking, and Alex Torres is to be credited for perhaps blazing a trail. And listen, he doesn't, if it's going to protect him, he doesn't care if it looks a little different. Maybe someday the rest of us will get used to it and it won't be so strange to look at.
Well, I think that's the thing. We're just not accustomed to seeing something like that. But you know, you're not out on the field to win a fashion contest. You're out there to compete. And you know, some of the balls that we've seen hit back up the middle that have struck pitchers in the head.
There's a pitch that gets away from Grandal, and Blanco advances on a wild pitch. The ball and no strikes to Brandon Crawford.
And this becomes tough right here. You know, if you're Crawford, you know, in the Giants, are you thinking about bunting, getting him over to third? You've got Panic up the lefty next, and then you've got Tim Hudson. They probably walk Panic and go after Hudson, or Hudson a decent hitter. You don't want to go to your bullpen if you're the Giants. Got to get somebody warmed up out there, though.
There's the Padres head trainer, Todd Hutchison, who is one of the best in the business, been here in San Diego a long time, and he's a big advocate of the protective cap. And the way Todd Hutchison tells the story, when Alex Torres decided to wear it, it was after considering the options and after being told by trainers, Todd Hutchison among them, you won't laugh at this thing if you've ever had to attend to somebody who's been hit in the head with a line drive. It'll change your attitude towards something like this. And Hutchison has gone so far as to wear that cap around in the clubhouse. You know, during BP, he's got it on in the field. There's some guys that wear it during BP. But Hutch will put that on, walk around the clubhouse just to get guys used to the visual of it.
Well, and I think that's the thing that, you know, we as fans or just have to get over. It doesn't look right. It's just something different. Again, he started wearing it because a teammate of his in Tampa Bay was struck in the head. Alex Cobb.
So 3 balls and a strike on Brandon Crawford. When the corporation that makes that protective cap, the four licensing corporation, when they were going around showing the item to players at spring training, you know, you make a presentation to a room full of pitchers, and when you're one of 14, 15 guys in a room, it's easy to hoot on it and make fun and sit in the back of the room and make jokes. The guys from the company felt like, well, this isn't going very far because it's like you're a 5th grade teacher in front of a classroom of kids that want to act up. If you're with the kids 1, 2, 3 at a time, they're less likely to give you a hard time. So that's what they ultimately asked for when they went around in the Grapefruit and Cactus League. Hey, when you bring your pitchers in, don't bring us a dozen, bring us 2 or 3 so we can have a discussion instead of being made fun of. Full count pitch to Brandon Crawford is taken low and away for ball 4. Back-to-back walks. And here comes Buddy Black.
Well, and you look at that Padre bullpen, which has been a strength all year long. Struggling right now.
Pitching change. A couple of walks by Alex Torres, and the Pods go back to the pen. Baseball's coverage of the All-Star Game festivities begins tomorrow on ESPN with the 2014 Taco Bell All-Star Selection Show at 7 Eastern. It continues Monday, July 14th with the 2014 Gillette Home Run Derby at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Well, a Padre bullpen, which had surrendered the 6th fewest walks in the majors, is guilty of putting a pair on here. Alex Torres walks 2, and with nobody out, Bud Black goes back to the bullpen for right-hander Kevin Quackenbush. Joe Panik showing bunt and fouling away the first pitch.
Well, a big man on the mound. He's 6'4", 220. He's going to come right after you. You see in those 22 2/3 innings pitch. He's got 21 strikeouts. Hard thrower, got a good split. Only 6 walks. You know, this is where everybody thinks, oh, just get the bunt down. But it's not like you're in the batting cage and they're just shooting balls right down the middle at 60 and you can just bunt it down either line. This is not easy. That's a balk.
Oh, my. Yeah, some 30,000 plus knew it in the stands. Some cheered, some moaned. And the balk puts runners at second and third with nobody out.
Now you can see right here. Not really any step towards second. Just kind of lifts up. And this changes a lot of things right now because now Panik can swing the bat. Now you don't have to remove Hudson from the game if you get a base hit here. Changes a lot of things.
0-1 the count to Joe Panik. Second and third with nobody out. The infield in for San Diego. A ball and a strike now. Well, there are 2 ways where Bud Black loves to use Kevin Quackenbush. One of them is with a lead in the 7th inning. That's not the case here. Another one is to try to strand base runners. Quackenbush has had success in that capacity, but Panik gets him to center field here. That'll drive in a run as Maven makes the catch. Blanco comes in to score. Crawford advances to third, and the Giants have their 1-run lead back.
Well, that's a nice job of hitting right there by Joe Panik. Not only getting the runner in, but moving Crawford over to third base. Crawford doing a nice job realizing that he could tag and get over to third base. Now he's over there with only 1 out.
Well, despite that run coming across and the changed situation, Tim Hudson will be done. He's gone after 6 today, and Tyler Colvin will swing the bat off the bench.
Padres have the infield in.
Colvin sends the first pitch into shallow left. Smith on the move. He makes the catch. Not far enough to get Crawford home. Brandon almost got caught off the bag.
Well, Headley moving forward when he caught the ball. See Crawford there bluffing, and then see Headley moving forward when he caught it. Crawford back there easily. Just not a good at-bat there by Colvin. It's going up there. He's been on the bench swinging at the very first pitch, especially with the infield in.
So with 2 away, it'll be up to Hunter Pence now to try to get that runner in from third. Pence has singled, walked, and reached on a fielder's choice today. Swinging for the downs behind 0-1. Two runs on 2 hits for the Giants. A run on 3 hits for San Diego. We have turned back the clock to the pre-DH low mound era. 1 in the San Francisco 7th. They're up and stretching at Petco. Giants back on top. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser, here's to baseball. And by the new Samsung Galaxy S5, the next big thing is here. Well, the Gaslamp Quarter will be busy once this one is over. A nice crowd at Petco Park this afternoon, taking in the middle game of this 3-game set. Tim Hudson's afternoon is through. It's time for the Pepsi Real Big Things You Need to Know. Some big things you need to know about Tim Hudson today. He went 6 innings, charged with just the 1 earned run, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 4. He is terrific in the month of July. In fact, his .755 career winning percentage this month is the best since 1914.
Well, the bullpen's going to have to be extra good for him to increase that win percentage.
And the first out of that group will be right-hander Gene Machi, who after a 25-plus inning scoreless streak between mid-April and mid-June has not been quite as successful. He's been charged with 4 runs in just 3 2/3 innings over his last 4 appearances. Switch hitters Headley and Grandal, and then the left-handed hitting Jake Gobert here in the 7th. And strike 1 from the big right-hander.
Well, he gets the Padres middle of the lineup. Chase Headley, nothing today, but 4 hits last night. Yesterday's ball game.
Headley behind 0-2.
See Brandon Belt over at first base. He's guarding the line right now. Take a look at him. Bit of a shift. Arias way off at third base.
Machi just misses low, a ball and 2 strikes. Gene Machi became a favorite of not only Bruce Bochy and Dave Righetti, but of Giant fans this year when he was in the midst of that 25-plus inning scoreless stretch. And to some, he was a bit of an overnight sensation. Should be noted, though, he's been at it for quite a long time. Signed by the Phillies back in 2000. And it was in September of 2012, after 13 years in the minors, that he finally got an opportunity to pitch in the Grande Ligas. September call-up that year, and he's an important part of the Giants bullpen this season. Two balls and 2 strikes to Chase Headley. Grandal next, and then Gobert on deck after him.
Remember, the Padres do have Carlos Quentin on the bench today. Power hitter getting the day off, at least up to this point so far.
For a number of different reasons, as you take a look at Quentin, who may or may not be pressed into duty today, it's actually the Padres who have had better success in 1-run games than San Francisco has. San Diego 17-9 in games like this one. And a called strike 3 taken by Chase Headley. A reminder, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in True HD on over 400 devices. Visit MLB.com for details. You can follow every game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Live look-ins, instant replay, score, stats, audio, free MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or MLB.com. And that one's rung into the corner off the bat of Yasmani Grandal. He's going to try to turn it into 2. A one-out double in the home half of the 7th.
You see, not great contact, but hit it well enough off the very end of the bat. Bat just shatters. Grandal, though, now accounting for half of the Padres' base hits today. The second one puts this into the corner and hustling all the way into second base.
So an opportunity now for Jake Gobert to cash in on his second RBI as a Padre. Runner in scoring position with 1 gone, last of the 7th. There are those weird games every once in a while when a team like the Padres, who don't hit a lot, will stack up multiple hits all around the lineup. They had a 16-hit game earlier this week against the Reds that at the time lifted their major league worst team batting average all the way up to a robust 213. Breaking ball swung on and missed, and it's 2-1.
You've got a number of young hitters. You've got a number of guys that, again, when you do struggle as a team, you try to make things happen. You expand the zone, you press.
Balls and a strike.
Well, not the worst thing if you do walk Gobert. You've got Maben up next. You can keep the double play as an option to get out of the inning. You just don't want to lay something here down the middle. Still got to make a pitcher's pitch here, 3-1.
Full count now, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Went off speed there. Took Gobert off balance. Now if you're hit, you're thinking, man, he just threw me a 3-1 off speed pitch. Got first base open. Wonder if he wants to walk me. It's where you got to just clear everything and see it and hit it. You don't want to get that paralysis by analysis up at the plate.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Jake Gobert. Runner at second with 1 away. 1-run ball game, last of the 7th. And a breaking ball whacked into right center field. And once again, the Padres have stepped up to tie the score. Gobert headed to third. Padres a big one. A 2-2 ball game here in the 7th.
Well, Gobert does a nice job. They threw it 3-1 and come back with a 3-2. Left it out over the plate. Gobert does a nice job. Just drives this thing to right center. Padres are in a great spot again. They can cash in this run from third base. We've got that situation where they will be leading after the 7th inning, where they are 15-0 at home this year.
And what was a terrific run for Gene Machi has turned into something entirely different as his recent troubles continue. Joaquin Benoit would be the next up out of the San Diego bullpen. Well, not only was that Jake Gobert's second RBI as a Padre, it was his first career extra base hit. And now the Giants infield defense will come in for Cameron Maben. Maben is grounded into a double play and bounced to shortstop tonight. Breaking ball has him swing and miss. Cameron Maben, one of the few players whose home road splits favor hitting here at Petco Park. He's almost 50 points better here at home. A big opportunity for him here. Into center. Blanco back there to make the catch. More than enough to get Gobert home. And San Diego has its first lead of the afternoon.
Well, there it is. 28-0 when leading after 7 innings this season. I got all fouled up. I told you that they were 15-0. That's 15-0 at Petco when scoring 4 or more. But 28-0 when leading after 7. A main reason, Joaquin Benoit, that man there, and Houston Street in the ninth.
So now Brooks Conrad, who scored the first run of the day for San Diego, that came in the 6th. Houston Street starting to stir in the Pods bullpen. Two balls and no strikes to Conrad, who has singled today. Well, the Giants unable to hold 2 different 1-run leads.
Well, the real kicker, though, for the Giants was man on third, Crawford. Colvin pitch hitting for Hudson, swinging at the first pitch, unable to get Crawford in from third.
You know, it has not been simply one element of the game that's gotten away from San Francisco. In losing 18 of their last 23, they're averaging 3 runs a game. Their on-base percentage is under 300. They're not hitting for power, as we talked about. But the pitching staff thought the strength of the team has had its share of troubles as well, as evidenced by Machi giving up a couple of runs in 2/3 of an inning here. And there's ball 4 to Conrad. Here comes Bruce Bochy, and it looks like he's got the hook in his pocket. They're going to call on Jeremy Affeldt to try to end a troubling bottom of the 7th. baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Stone missed the 85th All-Star game Tuesday, July 15th at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, right here on Fox. Well, Jeremy Affeldt worked yesterday, worked 2/3 of an inning in San Diego's series opening shutout win. His number is called again today, trying to keep this a 1-run deficit for the Giants.
Again, the bullpen just, they haven't been a strength as of late, especially the closing. Sergio Romo had been replaced. As you mentioned earlier, it just hasn't been one facet of the game. It's just been everything. It just continued to snowball, and they haven't been able to find that spark, that ball of energy. Just keeps getting worse for the Giants.
Here's Alexi Amarista now. He's singled back in the 6th. I mean, this afternoon was completely dominated by Tim Hudson. He had everything in control for the 6 innings he was out there. Three hits, all of them singles. Didn't walk anybody.
You know, but the one thing the Padres do, because of their great pitching, they stay involved in the game. I mean, they're 1 or 2 runs away, and then if the other team makes a mistake or they can string some hits together, they're right there. You know, with their pitching, they're not going to get run out of a lot of games.
Ball and no strikes to Alexi Amarista. 1-1. Jeremy Affeldt, the longtime Giants left-handed specialist. And as you take a look at Amarista's season numbers, know that he is much less effective against southpaws like Affeldt. Into the opposite field, carrying for Morse. Stumbles, but somehow comes up with the catch for the final out in the 7th. San Diego's extra base bats come alive in the 7th, and it gives the Padres a 1-run lead. Welcome back to Baseball Night in America on a gorgeous afternoon turning to evening in San Diego, celebrating the rest of this holiday weekend. Best to you, and thanks for joining us with Eric Karros, Matt Vasgersian, and a 3-2 San Diego lead. The Padres scoring twice last half inning to enjoy their first advantage of the contest, and they have set up the formula for the back end of the bullpen. 8th inning to Joaquin Benoit is still leading the 9th to the near perfect Houston Street. Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, Joaquin Arias in the San Francisco 8th.
Again for the Padres, Joaquin Benoit. You see Irving Falou at second base. Benoit in the 8th, Street in the 9th. You know, a lot of teams, playoff teams, are going to be looking at the Padres right now, inquiring about their two guys at the end of the ball game. Not sure Bud Black likes that, but
I would imagine not. That's been among the things that have gone right this year for the San Diego Padres. I don't know that San Diego considered themselves a seller necessarily. You know, the same way it's kind of tough to peg where the Giants will be getting into the trading deadline. We saw the first of what may be a flurry of trades yesterday with the A's and Cubs getting together for a big one. The A's aggressively going after two frontline starting pitchers, including a number 1. Billy Beane apparently tired of not being able to match up with the Verlanders and Scherzers of the world and doing the the division series and out. The Giants have been aggressive over the years. Belt aggressive on breaking balls, swings and misses one away. Of course, that Samardzija acquisition by the A's, one of a couple of big headlines in the game at this hour. Clayton Kershaw is in the midst of a 36 consecutive scoreless inning stretch. He's won 7 in a row at the same time. And Jose Abreu has set a major league record for the most home runs in the first 73 games of a career, 27 of them to lead baseball. One away now for Buster Posey. Ball and a strike. 2 years, $15.5 million was the number that landed Joaquin Benoit off the free agent market to San Diego in December of 2013. And it certainly gives whoever the new general manager here will be something of a surplus, at least some chips, if in fact they decide to enter the market that way.
Well, again, you just have to see what you're offered. Somebody's going to have to overpay for Benoit or Houston Street. Again, those are two guys that can make a difference in the postseason. Solidify the back end of the bullpen, and you know there are a number of teams out there that consider themselves contenders to win a World Series, whether it's the Angels or the Tigers that could use some bullpen help.
2-1 to Posey is bounced to third for Chase Headley, and 2 gone in the 8th. We talked about Jose Abreu leading the world in home runs. Apparently he's got company. Kevin Burkhardt has an update. Kevin, thanks. Doubleheader between the Orioles and Red Sox in Boston. Busy day of baseball at the Fens. Here's Joaquin Arias now with 2 gone. Arias has been held hitless after entering in the first. That was when Buster Posey was hit by a pitch. 2 runs on 2 hits for San Francisco today. You know, it's starting to look a lot like 2013 in one respect for the Giants. And granted, I think most would agree it's a deeper roster than last year. But last year's Giants, 10-17 in June, 8-17 in July. They got to the All-Star break, 6.5 out. It's trending the same way in 2014. Two and one.
And again, the only thing that solves it are victories. You can have meetings. You can tell each other that things are going to change. You can have all these feel-good deals. But the bottom line is nothing is going to replace wins. Nothing is going to solve it other than wins. And they just haven't been able to create anything at all.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Joaquin Arias.
You know, and when you're not scoring, you look lethargic. You look like there's no energy. The pitchers have to be that much finer. Every pitch they make is an intense pitch. You know, it drains the starters. It wears on the bullpen. You know, they have guys that are capable. There's no question. They did it for the first 2 months of the season. More importantly, they've just got to weather the storm.
Two balls and 2 strikes. They count to Joaquin Arias. Well, tomorrow the series finale between the Padres and Giants. And it's Tim Lincecum for San Francisco, who would have an opportunity, and I say this almost sheepishly, of doing a number against the San Diego Padres again. I mean, could you even have thought about 3 no-hitters against the same uniform in 2 years? Here's the payoff pitch home. On the ground to the left side. Headley gets there, smothers and throws. The Giants go away in order at the hand of Joaquin Benoit in the 8th. Still 3-2 Padres. Sponsored by Burger King. Right now, try the new extra long barbecue cheeseburger. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. Hey, next Saturday, it's a full day of Major League Baseball action, beginning with the Cardinals and Brewers on Fox Sports 1. Then Baseball Night in America on Fox. has Mike Trout and the Angels taking on the Rangers. Andrew McCutchen and the Bucks battling the Reds or the Nationals and Phillies. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, continuing at 7 Eastern right here on Fox. Irving Falou, Seth Smith, and Will Venable for San Diego as Jeremy Affeldt continues in relief for the Giants. You know, we mentioned the strength of the San Diego bullpen being a possible chip for whoever the new GM may be. So far, the Padres certainly haven't missed a beat in terms of baseball operations. With Fred Ullman Jr., A.J. Hinch, Omar Minaya running things. A new GM will be put in place, however, and the search is on. FoxSports.com senior writer Ken Rosenthal with the very latest.
Matt, Eric, the Padres already have interviewed 4 candidates for their GM vacancy, and club president Mike D told me this morning that they expect to interview 7 to 8 more over the next 10 days. After that, the team will pare down the list to 2 or 3 and invite them back for the final round. It's possible that the GM will be hired sometime this month before the non-waiver deadline on July 31st, but it's also possible that the start date for the job will not come until after the deadline.
Ken, thanks. And there is Padres president and CEO Mike D on the right, A.J. Hinch on the left.
How about a former teammate of mine in the Chicago Cubs, Mark Pryor, right there. I'll tell you what, he had one heck of a year with the Cubs in 2003. Career beset by injuries, but man, oh man, could he pitch.
Yeah, Mark, a part of the Padres front office here. Seth Smith with a line shot out to center, and Blanco handles that when there were 2 away. You start thinking about the 9th, and Houston Street up and throwing. It'll be his to try to save. Morse, Blanco, and Crawford scheduled. There's Will Venable now, 0 for 3 so far this afternoon. There has not been a lot of consistency in terms of baseball operations in San Diego, certainly when you contrast it with the consistency in San Francisco. Brian Sabean, the longest tenured GM in baseball. The Pods will be on their 4th different GM in an 8-season span when a successor to Josh Burns is identified. It's a fly ball out to right. Hunter Pence is under it to retire the side. Last chance for the Gigantes, and they've got a tough one to try to get through in the 9th. Responsible for our Burger King plays of the game. The 2-run rally in the 7th. Yasmani Grandal doubled. Jake Gobert tripled him in. And then Cameron Maben sent him home with the go-ahead run with a sac fly to center field. That spelled a 3-2 lead, the first enjoyed by the Padres. And one that Houston Street is going to try to bring home in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, you look at those numbers right there. Thing that jumps out for me: 23 saves in 23 opportunities. Been perfect for the Giants right now. Michael Morris up at the plate. He's 3 for 6 lifetime against Houston Street. Really the Giants' best bet if they're going to score it all this inning.
It'll be Morse, Blanco, and Crawford, as we mentioned, going to break with the Giants down to run top half of the 9th. Only 2 base hits today for San Francisco. The home run by Gregor Blanco. Gave them their 1-0 lead. They scored a run in the 7th when Blanco walked and came around to score. That's high and deep to left, and the Giants have tied it. Of a dismal 10 for 55 stretch with one swing of the bat has perhaps reinvigorated a sleepy San Francisco lineup.
Well, looking at who he had to face this inning, Michael Morris again 3 for 6 off the street. The other guys just haven't had any kind of success. And Michael Morris is, for lack of a better phrase, has been on the back of that milk carton for the last month and a half, is missing. And he shows up, hits a big home run, and he was a huge reason for the way the Giants started off the first 2 months of the season.
A ball and a strike to count to Gregor Blanco. A rare hiccup by a Padre right-hander who, as Eric mentioned earlier, has been perfect this year. In fact, as this now counts as a blown save charged to Houston Street, it'll go down as his first since last September against these Giants. Just doesn't come easy, does it? Bud Black gets the 2 in the 7th. An offensively challenged club looked like they had enough to do it today, and more will be required.
It's a man's game. Nothing's easy. You're going to have your struggles. When things look real obvious out there, they can take a turn.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Gregor Blanco. Full count now.
I'm looking at the Giants. 3 hits, 3 runs. It's, again, I guess that's efficiency right there.
It's one way to look at it. And Blanco wants time.
I think the thing, Bud Black's frustration, and even more so Houston Street, there was one guy that could hurt you. One guy, and that was Morris. You look at the rest of the lineup. Bruce Bochy's bench has been depleted because Sandoval hurt. He had to use Colvin earlier in the game. And not a lot of options.
Yeah, it's a brand new story here. After Morse's home run, his 14th of the year, has tied it at 3.
And that thing was crushed too. I mean, Michael Morris, watching him in BP. Ooh, man. He can hit some balls a long way.
Well, he is a big old boy.
That's just man right there.
Blanco taps it to second for Falou and 1 away. And I suspect he knew it as soon as he got a hold of it.
I mean, that thing might have just landed. He almost knocked his helmet off. He's fired up. Anyway, watch this. Watch his helmet hit. Watch this. Oh, yeah. Hey. It's a helpless feeling as a pitcher. That was second deck. That was second deck line drive.
So now Brandon Crawford with the run in and one away here in the ninth. So not only is that the first blown save by Houston Street this year, it ends what was the longest active streak in converting save opportunities. Dating back to last year, Street had gone 23 in a row. Crawford pops it up. 2 away.
And again, you get back, you look at the inning. You know, one of the things that Bud Black was talking to us prior to the game about Houston Street and his success. You know, he doesn't have overwhelming stuff, but he knows how to pitch the ninth. He knows how to navigate. He knows who's on deck. That was one of the qualities that, you know, he had mentioned. And really, this inning, again, one guy is going to beat you. That's the man sitting right there. You let him get him.
So now Joe Panik. A little more intrigue. We're going to go to the bottom of the ninth. And it remains to be seen how Bruce Bochy's going to tackle that from a pitching perspective. He's got Santiago Casilla and Sergio Romo both hot. Romo, as we mentioned, being bounced out of the closer's role.
Well, the Padres are sending up 3, 4, and 5 too. Starting with Headley, Grandal, and Gobert.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Joe Panik.
You know, just looking at things, I think Bruce Bochy's got to go Casilla. Headley swings the ball, swings the bat well against Romo. Not a lot of success against Casilla.
San Diego has given the Giants all they can handle this year. This is usually a well-contested season series. Just ask somebody like Matt Cain or Tim Lincecum, who's been around for so much of these. Panik with a little chopper. Street gets to it, throws wide to the bag at first, and Panik's aboard with 2 away.
Well, the full swinging bunt. It's the most indefensible play in baseball. Street runs off the mound and tries to get the throw. What makes that important, though, is now if Hicks is retired, the Giants, if they're able to stave off the Padres, will have 1, 2, 3 coming up in the 10th.
Brandon Hicks, who will pinch hit in the 9th spot. Bruce Bochy just about out of cards on the bench.
And we got Juan Perez and Hector Sanchez still available. It's not a lot of offense to pick from right there.
No. Well, nor is it with Hicks. He is 0 for his last 21 and just 1 for his last 30.
He might want to ask Madison Bumgarner to put on his spikes.
This has just been a weird one, huh? I mean, the Giants with the fewest infield hits in baseball. Today they've got 2 and 2 solo dingers. San Diego offensively challenged. They come up with what looks like the perfect 2-run rally in the 7th. Houston Street's been perfect all year. He gives it up here in the 9th. There is just no figuring this. Oh, and 2 the count to Brandon Hicks. As Eric mentioned, it'll be the middle of the San Diego order in the 9th. Didn't think we'd be going there 5-10 minutes ago.
Again, the Giants just looking for anything to turn these last 30 games around.
And the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. However, Mike Morse, with his 14th of the year, has made necessary a bottom of the ninth. Giants and Padres tied at 3. Ninth we go, and an opportunity for Sergio Romo, who as of Sunday was replaced as Giants closer. 3 blown saves in his last 5 opportunities. San Francisco announcing a closer committee. 6 home runs surrendered by Romo, and that matches the most he's allowed in his career in a single season. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. Yeah, it's been a rough little stretch between June 13th and now, and it's something that some folks thought started a little earlier. He'll have an opportunity here to keep it tied, facing the middle of the San Diego order, Headley, Grandal, and Gobert.
Well, again, with Romo, the bottom line has been just hanging the slider. That's what's got him in trouble. You know you're going to get a slider, but what has made him so effective over the past few years is his ability to locate. Not getting that pitch on the outside corner. Tim Hudson didn't get it. Romo not getting it.
Tim Hudson went 6 today. Gene Machi 2/3 of an inning. Jeremy Affeldt an inning and a third, and now it's Romo to try to preserve it and send it to extra innings. Such an important part of the Giants bullpen success in their 2 World Series runs. And the best closers in the game will tell you, from Trevor Hoffman on down, there are those ruts, those hiccups that you run into. And you mentioned with Romo, it's never been a question of blowing it past anybody. It's never been a question of wondering what's coming. It's slider, 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 meaning it has to be fine. And he's not in a phase right now where that's been the case.
Well, and as a hitter, when you get into the box against a guy like Romo, there's not a lot of intimidation. There's not a lot of worry. There's no fear at all. It's, you know, you're going to get a slider. And there have been a lot of successful closers that have been able to get by with something like that. I remember Rod Beck. many years with the Giants. But again, as you mentioned, he's got to be perfect. Can't miss his spot.
Headley dumps a pitch into shallow left. Morse coming on and can't make the catch. Headley on his way to second. The winning run in scoring position with nobody out in the ninth.
Well, he didn't hit that well, but I think Michael Morse just misjudged it. I think he felt like he had a beat on it. Then the thing just kind of died because he wasn't really going hard after it. Kind of looked like he was gauging it. I'm going to grab it. He realized, uh-oh, I'm not going to get there.
Yasmani Grandal now in a spot where a base hit can win it. He has singled and doubled today. You know, I'm sure somewhere during the course of our discussion on Romo's arsenal, somebody out there in TV land was saying, hey, you two, what about Mariano Rivera, a one-pitch guy? Made a Hall of Fame career on the cutter. To a lesser degree, Trevor Hoffman with his terrific changeup.
Right, but those guys also were Rivera could get it up there as well.
And so could Trevor.
And Trevor back in the
career.
day was 90 plus. Again, those guys, even with the changeup and even that cutter, that is in a class by itself, that cutter. I mean, you can't compare anybody else, the one-pitch guy, to Mariano Rivera and what he was able to do with that pitch.
Grandal shoots that up the middle. A fine play by Crawford to, for the moment, preserve the night. That ball gets through, and San Diego's walking the Giants off as winners.
Well, watch Romo. He tries to kick it. It's coming right back up the middle. Crawford does a great job laying out for that ball, getting it over to first base. Great first step. He even looked back at Headley to see if there was a play there.
So Bruce Bochy brings the infield in. Winning run 90 feet away with one away. And now it's Jake Gobert who'd be intentionally passed.
Well, you walk him, you walk Maben, and then you go to work on Conrad. I think that's what you have to do.
I don't know that...
I'd walk the bases loaded.
Would you?
I absolutely would.
Oh, you're regular Buck Showalter, you are.
I walk the bases loaded because Maben, if you're going to try to play for a double play, that's good speed running down.
Duly
He's
noted.
Swinging at a slider, which again, usually a slider to a right-handed hitter is a way, which gets you leaning, gets you out of the box a bit quicker. Take my chances, and actually you got Carlos Quentin.
Yeah, it would be Quentin next. He'd pinch hit in the pitcher's spot. And we'll see how they handle Cameron Maben now. Double. Ground ball to shortstop that moved the winning run to third. Intentional walk. And now Maben, who has grounded into a double play and driven in a run today.
And he had that, his last at bat, had that sacrifice fly to center field.
In the air, in the infield. Not going to get it done. Two gone.
Again, that's two at-bats today. One by the Padres, one by the Giants, with a runner on third swinging at the very first pitch and not being able to drive that runner in. Tyler Colvin did it earlier with Brendan Crawford at third base for the Giants, and then Maben. Frustrating as a hitter.
So now Carlos Quentin, a non-starter today. Quentin batting just 177 at the start of play this afternoon. He has had some success off the bench, 4 for 8 with a couple of pinch hit home runs.
Well, he's going to get nothing but sliders here.
It is he who stands between Sergio Romo and taking this to a 10th inning today. 0-1.
You know, my guess is Posey just going to sit on the outside part of the plate and ask for sliders that are about 4 inches off the plate. Quinton has not had a hit off of Romo, 0 for 4 career.
Runner goes unchecked, and it's strike 2 to Quinton.
And he was fortunate there because that thing backed up. That was right down the middle of the plate. It was low. Again, Posey, he's out. He wants out off the plate here. And this is where you find out if Romo has it.
Chase Headley, the winning run at third. 2 out last of the ninth, tied at 3. 0-2 to Carlos Quinton.
That pitch was up. It's not out far enough. Again, you can go 3 or 4 inches off the plate. Quinton's going to probably offer at it. He's looking out there.
If this game goes to the 10th, the Giants have the top of the order. The next 0-2. Sergio Romo can only work outside to a degree. It's not as though he can just get by trying to skip pitches, because the winning run scurries home if something gets away from Buster Posey.
Right, he's got to keep it up in the zone or not bounce it. Again, you've got a great catcher behind the plate. You got to trust him.
A ball and 2 strikes.
I mean, he's just getting way too much of the plate. Thing looked like it got a good part of the middle of the plate. But again, that's why Romo's in the situation that he's in. He just has not been able to locate as of late.
Quinton did not play his first game of the year till the end of May. And a variety of nagging injuries have certainly hampered his start to the season. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. And strikes out to send this one to the 10th inning tonight. A big exhale, borderline celebration out of the former closer Sergio Romo. We're going to the 10th, all tied 3 apiece. Joe Romo, but he's able to get to the other side okay and take this ball game to the 10th inning. Hunter Pence will lead things off for San Francisco with a big swing and a miss against the new pitcher. Right-hander Dale Thayer takes over for the Padres. Top of the order, Pence, Belt, and Posey. Terrific numbers for Dale Thayer that you just saw, who has always come off like something of a throwback. Old West gunslinger. Pence is aboard with a base hit. Pence is aboard with something more than a base hit. He never stopped running. A leadoff hustle double for Hunter Pence. This has been a really emotional last couple of innings, dating back to the end of the ninth. Winning runs at second. Brandon Crawford makes a terrific play to keep it tied. Cameron Maybin had a chance to tie it. He pops up on the first pitch. And then after an intentional walk, Carlos Quentin, as a pinch hitter, strikes out. Sergio Romo leading the emotional charge. One that continues with Hunter Pence's hustle double to open the 10th. Brandon Belt now.
Well, they've got to capitalize here. They've got an opportunity. You know, we showed all those emotional responses and everything. Let's not forget what got us going here as a Giant fan. It's Michael Morris and the home run and him just, yeah, he almost knocked his helmet off. But that's what Boats has been talking about, that energy. Well, maybe they found it. There he is right there. He's the guy.
With Chase Headley opened the bottom of the ninth with what looked like a base hit that turned into a double after Mike Morse had some trouble with it defensively. Same thing here in the top of the 10th. Hunter Pence hits what looks like an innocent base hit. He hustles an extra bag out of it. In fact, let's take a look and see what happened out there. If somebody actually napped. Base hit.
Yeah, I just think that gap was wide.
Yeah, I agree.
And Hunter Pence, just from the get-go, there was no jogging and then get going. It was, I'm sprinting to second. Forget it. I'm just going.
Yeah, that's nobody's fault defensively. That was all Hunter Pence. See the Giants 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position today. That's been a problem during the course of this 3.5-week thud. And now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, big at bat here for Brandon Belt. You don't need a hit. You just need to get Pence over to third base.
How about a big fly? 5-3 San Francisco. Welcome back to the big league party, Brandon Belt.
Giants have lacked it as of late, but not today. GREGOR, BLANCO, Michael Morris, and now Brandon Belt.
Buster Posey now. The 2-run home run by Brandon Belt has given the Giants their biggest cushion of the afternoon. Posey with a line drive out to center. Maybin lays out and can't make the catch. Posey's going to try for 2. The throw there is waiting for him and not applied correctly. Now Falou wants a challenge here. He's claiming that he got the ball down, the tag down on Posey. It looked like a decent throw was going to have Posey out by a couple of steps.
Again, this energy just... everybody feeling it for the Giant ball club. Well, Posey going in head first, and the reason you do, one of the reasons you go in head first is because you can pull back your arm.
Here's a terrific look, and the same one they'll see in New York. Can you tell me?
That looks like he gets. It looks like he got in there.
I agree. I don't. The glove was down. I don't know that the tag was ever applied to the hand.
And again, I think, you know, when Buster went in there, he went in initially with two hands. He pulled that right arm back. So then the tag had to be applied across the bag to the left hand. You watch him. Watch. Both arms down. Now watch. Pull back the right. I'm pulling back the right. I'm going in with the left. I think he got in there.
I think that's the best look that we have.
I don't think it's enough to say that he definitely got him.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they call this inconclusive.
I think he's safe. I think that's a great slide by Buster Posey. A great slide. The fact that he brought his right arm back. Again, those are the reasons why you go in head first.
Those are the reasons, again, why Buster Posey's a stud. I mean, that's one of those plays that it's not going to be measured out by any sabermetrician anywhere. But that's a terrific, instinctive baseball play that leads to his being safe, and the call is upheld. So now Joaquin Arias with an insurance score out there in scoring position, and still nobody out for Dale Thayer in the 10th. It's going to be one of those nights that Bruce Bochy hopes he can go back to in a month or two and circle on the calendar and say, if June 8th was the beginning of a swoon, then perhaps July 5th was the day we turned it around. 3 home runs, the Giants' first 3 home run game since May 21st in Denver.
Well, and it wouldn't just be a win if they're able to hold on, but it would be the way that they've done it. And there have been so many ups and downs in this ball game for the Giants. Tim Hudson doing a great job. Them looking like they had the lead and the victory, and then the Padres coming back, battling, getting some hits, and getting into the bullpen. Michael Morris going against Houston Street, who has not blown a save all year.
Yeah. Sergio Romo pitching a scoreless inning, maybe getting it right.
The defense by I mean, we can go after Brandon Belt. Hey, I'm back. Again, there's still, one more at bat for the Padres, though.
It was a long 8 weeks for the Giants lineup without Brandon Belt. And a called strike 3 taken by Joaquin Arias. In fact, let's take you back to that one swing. No doubt.
You look at that back elbow tilt. Look at that. That's just a perfect swing behind the front foot. No doubt there.
It's the great Giants broadcaster Mike Krukow might be saying, "Got to go." So here's Mike Morse now. Again, the Dodgers have lost today. And the big picture story for Giant fans is, if they can hang on and win this in extra innings in San Diego, the deficit to LA is back to just a half game. We're set for a pretty good ride here the rest of the way in the NL West, because I'd be shocked if some combination of Giants Dodgers doesn't win a division and then take one of the 2 wild card spots.
Yeah, I definitely see both teams in the postseason. I felt at the beginning of the year that the Dodgers would win, the Giants would be the wild card representative. After 2 months, I was beginning to wonder. I just still think that the Dodgers' depth is a bit more than what the Giants have, but I think both teams will be in the postseason.
Posey running, and that one's fouled away. Still a ball and 2 strikes to Mike Morse. Tim Lincecum goes tomorrow. Hey, what do you think about the scarves he's taken to wearing?
Well, at least he got rid of the mustache. That's what I'll say. Scarves aren't bad.
I like the look.
Pull them off.
Oh yeah, if anybody can. He almost takes on the look of a like an Italian Formula One driver. Any kind of a foreign dialect would just fit right in right there. Me llamo Tim Lincecum. They are concerned with Posey, who's already tried to run once this plate appearance. So a different story for San Diego as we would go to the bottom of the 10th. They'll do so trailing, hoping it's just a 2-run deficit. And they're going to have 8, 9, then top of the order. And it's going to be Santiago Casillas' 10th inning. Two balls and 2 strikes to Morse. On the ground to third for Headley. And 2 away. Been a while before we've seen something like this. The last time the Giants hit a home run in the 9th and 10th, August 9th, '86 in Atlanta, when Mike Aldretti and Candy Maldonado were responsible for the honors. '86 Giants. Somewhere in East County, San Diego, the great Mark Grant is smiling.
Enjoying his day off, probably in Alpine, huh?
Yeah, looking for free stuff everywhere.
You think those red pants he had on yesterday, you think those were free?
I hope so. I hope he didn't pay for those. 0-2 the count.
So what do? Do you leave Romo out there for the finish the game, or Casilla?
I'm thinking it's Casilla. Thinking the Giants cannot let this
get away.
And if you go through the formality of announcing a change at the closer spot, that's the hardest part of it.
Right.
And Bruce Bochy has always been perhaps one of the most loyal player managers in baseball. He's not a what have you done lately for me guy, but he has made the move in this case. And we'll have a chance to see Casilla coming up in a moment. He gets a chance because Brandon Belt's 10th of the year has given the Giants a 5-3 lead. coming from a broken thumb, and here in his second game back off the DL has really made an impact to the degree that he's got a chance to be the hero if Santiago Casilla can make a 2-run lead hold up over the next 3 outs.
Well, you see it, 1 save and 4 opportunities. He's had 3 blown saves this year.
New left fielder is Juan Perez taking over from Mike Morse. Alexi Amarista, Irving Falou, and then Seth Smith. The last chance for San Diego to try to keep July 5th alive. Well, the way Tim Hudson threw the ball to start the night, you just didn't think it would be one of those days where Bruce Bochy would go 4 deep into his bullpen. That's been the case, as both Bruce Bochy and Buddy Black have played the matchup game here in the back half of the night. The 2 longest tenured managers in the National League head to head this evening.
Well, and don't forget the job that Despagne did for the Padres. He only allowed 1 run. It seemed like he was in trouble. Giants weren't able to break through it all. Another great job by the San Diego starting pitching.
2 balls and a strike to count to Alexi Amarista. Santiago Casilla, by the way, since coming off the DL in the middle of June, he landed there with a right hamstring strain. Has retired all 15 batters he's faced. That spans 5 outings. Been a while between outings for him, however. And perhaps some of that rust apparent here as he loses Amarista. Casilla last pitched on the 29th of June.
I'm just watching Boch right there, and he's just nothing's easy for him. Nothing is easy. As you mentioned, there's been a layoff. You know, you're not sharp. You can throw as many bullpens as you want, but that's different than the game situation with the adrenaline and the nervousness, the intensity.
Here's Irving Falou. He came on in a double switch earlier tonight and is 0 for 1 since entering. Strike 1 from Casilla. You know, this is where that home run threat, what you talked about with Mike Morse, where you've got a guy who you fear in a 1-run or a 2-run game. The Padres have used that guy off the bench.
Yeah, but the thing about it, by putting that runner on first base, Amarista, Seth Smith has the potential to come to the plate with a runner on. And Seth Smith, he got some power. There's no question. And he's the guy, again, that if you're navigating, that's a guy you don't want to leave something over the plate to him.
And a swing and a miss. 1 gone, last of the 10th. Well, so here's that scenario. Here is Seth Smith with 1 gone as we take a look at Falou over the top of the breaking pitch once again. Seth Smith, great numbers at home, great numbers against right-handed pitching, the likes of Santiago Casilla.
A nice pick by Buster Posey there.
Ball and no strikes. You know, Seth Smith also has to be in the conversation of potential Padres All-Stars. It's not just a slam dunk for Houston Street. There are the home numbers we discussed a moment ago. You know, in terms of franchise history, Smith has a chance to accomplish something as a Padre that's only been done once before. and that is lead the team in all 3 extra base hit categories in a single season. There have been some terrific power hitters come through here. Only Dave Winfield in 1979 led the team in doubles, triples, and home runs, as Smith does currently. Two balls and no strikes, and everybody wants to think about it. I kind of forget about all the great power hitters that have come through here because not many of them have stuck around for a long time. Nate Colbert, the all-time home run leader. They've had great power hitters come through here, guys like Ken Caminiti, Greg Vaughn, Phil Nevin, Ryan Klesko a little bit later on.
I remember Jack Clark came through here, Joe Carter as well.
Yep. Of course, Adrian Gonzalez of more recent vintage.
Enzo Hernandez. Remember number 11 Enzo Hernandez?
You're going back to your childhood
now. Back to shortstop days.
Strike taken by Seth Smith, and it's 3-1.
Well, my guess here is Seth Smith is going to be coming out of his shoes. 3-1. If there's anything up in the zone that he can drive.
Will Venable waits on deck. Back to the mound. Casilla to first, and the Padres are down to their final out tonight. Well, a terrific night in San Diego and a big house tonight. They had a lot to root for late. A lot of Giant fans making the trip south. San Francisco 1 out away from setting up tomorrow's rubber match, the last of 3 between these two NL West rivals. Here's Venable now. He'll have something to say about it before everybody heads home. Will 0 for 4 tonight. San Francisco hangs on to this. It would be just their 6th win in their last 24 games.
Well, you say that 6th win in the last 24 games, and they will look in the standings and they will have fewer losses than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Only a half game out, only because the Dodgers have played more games. But with the Dodgers losing today, the Giants an out away from winning. Could be a lot worse.
Two balls and a strike. Machi, Affeldt, Romo, and now Casilla. I think you could say this for both sides, that a good long one tomorrow in the series finale from Tim Lincecum and Jesse Hahn would be much appreciated. Two balls and a strike to Will Venable. And the Padres are down to their final strike tonight. Giants failed to protect a pair of separate one-run leads. San Diego played at 2 in the 7th. They took the lead to the 8th and 9th. Giants tied it in the 9th, 2 in the 10th. Hoping that that's enough behind Santiago Casilla. And San Francisco is able to come back and win it in extra innings tonight. Brandon Belt, one of the heroes, his 2-run home run in the top of the 10th, the difference in a 5-3 Giants victory. When we come back, a tribute to a Hall of Famer as we dedicate tonight's telecast to a good friend.